coming up in just a second. Hit that like. Share the show. We're about to get going. I don't know why. That's working. All right. That's lovely. Look at that. Wonderful big likes from everybody. So much to cover. How am I going to fit it all in? It will take a miracle. Feel like it's a good time to start as much as any. Hi, welcome to the show, everybody. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I feel like the news is mega worldwide right now, and I feel like our chat room definitely is mega worldwide. Where are you? What are you doing? What are you up to? Say hello. I'm still programming things in. We're up on Substack. Instagram is still down for some reason I can't figure out. Everybody else is playing nice. We're on Kick right now, which is absurd. I added Kick since we took away. We haven't had X or TikTok, so I've got an extra empty station there. It's not connecting properly, so I think I'm overloading its bit rate right now. Kick, who knew you were this pitiful? Maybe it's fine. I don't know, but we'll see. It's an attempt. Hi there. What's happening, Oliver? Good to see you. Sweating in Las Vegas. Oh yeah, it's 109. Yeah, it was. And Mark came out to the Nerd Halen show. It was 102 at night. 107 when we were doing sound check, and literally poor Caleb was having to like move his gear as the sun moved across the stage, and to the point where he's like, okay, once we're done with sound check, is there some sort of like reflective cloth I can put over top of my stuff so it doesn't cook? It's it's that kind of thing. I mean, I'm a guy who's done shows in winter in Chicago, so you know, extremes of weather are not going to bother me. But oh, what's up? Hi from Kentucky. Hi, Teresa. Yes, kick.com. It's true. It keeps sending data and streaming for a second, and then it freaks out. I don't know if it's working at all. We'll check in. But I feel like we just got to, you know me, I like to be mega worldwide. I like to be on every possible channel I can. Is it a dry heat? Meh. If you don't count the taste of your own sweat, I suppose. Now, with so much to cover, and so much of it is stupid. Let's see, and I think, I've got Trump at the G7. I have to show you this. Right out of the gate. Ladies and gentlemen, just a glorious moment. The moment that Trump, in front of one of his best buddies, comes out to make a statement. Hold on, let me show you this real quick. This is Keir Starmer and the UK Prime Minister. Hold on. And Trump. These are the bad boys. Get used to it, okay? Libtards. Get ready to have your tears guzzled. Here it comes. Butch as I don't know. As a bare leather bar. It's Pride, so I figured you guys at least can understand the code this month. All right. Please, by the way, if you haven't seen this yet, this is for your viewing pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much. We all know the great Prime Minister of the UK, and we just signed a document. This is... Sorry about that. A very important document. A little windy out here. Give me that.
One more time for those at home.
We all know the great Prime Minister
He's so used to holding up in front of the desk.
of the UK, and we just
Oh yeah,
signed
he's great. He's no prop comic, but he'll do.
a document. This is sorry about that.
A very important document.
A little windy out here. Give me that. We just signed it, and it's done. And so we have.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. It is done. Yes, this is true. So I thought you guys would like to see that right out of the gate. Apparently, we thought the only klutz in the White House was J.D. Vance and his handling of trophies. But one more time for those in the back. I feel like we should go. Let's see. Something. Do I have? I don't know if I have a womp womp. I feel like I need something like derpy music. Do I have it? Something silly. What would it be? No. Nope. I'll have to figure it out. I need to make. That's probably the next thing I need to make. Well, this will work.
Document. This is sorry about that.
A very important document.
I didn't have yakety sax on draw for that one. But, you know, I feel like, you know, there's going to be so much heavy shit to deal with. We should, you know, get right out of the gate, just enjoy ourselves a little bit. Now, Trump, before he left for the G7 and before he went off on this tirade about it should be the G8, but Barack Obama and Trudeau didn't want Russia in it, and you wouldn't have had this war. The reason they were kicked out was because of this war. The first attack on the Donbass in 2014 was like, this was one of the big go fuck yourselves. It was a sanction. So the idea that you wouldn't have had this war is just stupid. You would have had this war a lot sooner and a lot harsher. But, okay, so here's Trump leaving his place. By the way, it's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Also, just understand, none of this
Here I am like an idiot.
is going to be salvageable linguistically. And I'm sorry about the audio.
So we're going to Canada. Last night was a tremendous success with a fantastic audience. It was
Nope.
supposed to rain. They gave it a 100% chance of rain.
No, they didn't. They said 70% chance of precipitation. Nobody was like, it's fucking gonna rain. Like,
And it didn't rain at all. It was beautiful.
it drizzled.
And so I asked if they gave it 100% chance, right? 100% it was going to rain like crazy, and it didn't rain at all. How did they predict 100 years out and 50 years out or 200 years out?
Because atmospheric temperature is not the same thing as flexibility and precipitation. Also, it should have rained, so the fact that it didn't would be more concerning.
They didn't do too well, the weather people, last night, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, weather and climate people are not the same. But anyways, we've seen this idiocy before.
Are you and Prime Minister Netanyahu on the same page concerning how to deal with Iran?
Well, we
He goes, are you and Netanyahu on the same page in how to deal with Iran?
get along very well, and I will tell you.
Oh, sorry, everybody. I forgot. That was my bad. I should have put this up. That was wrong of me. Nunt warning.
That I think I have great respect for each other.
You think? Okay, well, you could, I guess, be on the fence about whether someone else respects you, but you don't know whether you respect him? Sorry, what is he, one of your ex-wives? Thank you, Pearlwise.
Can you give us
Go ahead, what?
Mr. President, can you give us a sense of what de-escalate the situation between Iran and Israel?
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
Okay, no, he doesn't. He always says that. He says that about buildings, so he still says this is just muscle memory bullshit. Sorry, we're like, there's not going to be anything coming from that. But what I do want to jump to is we're all over the map tonight because there's so much it's okay. So let's show you. Okay, after the unfortunate assassinations this weekend and the attempted assassination on two other groups, I don't know if you guys have seen the latest, but the gunman he shot two people first, wounded them, left, went to another house. They weren't home. They were on vacation, or they would have been the next victims. Went to stalked the third house, and then maybe I think might even been the fourth house where he shot the victims that he killed, and was seen coming out of the house by the police, retreated back into the house. Exchanged gunfire. They fired at into the house, but he escaped out the back while they were doing this. He was dressed as a police officer. That's where he abandoned his vehicle and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so there was a lot of how it started, how it's going shit that was going on. Okay, thank you, CSL. 1 second. In the Discord, excellent. Oh, thank you. Yes, excellent. Hold on. I will copy that, and I will get that later. Although I have to do a fake one because I think that's now copyrighted because the BBC owns it for that show. I think that's why we didn't use it before. Anyways, thank you for that. Hopefully we'll give it a shot at some point. Yes, he posed as a police officer and all that. Now, the first thing was, this was like, I'll show you. Hey, he's like, I caught the guy. Trump caught him. And there's a picture on the phone. And Walz and Soros are mad stuff, because this was the story that 8 hours ago, well, this is the 8 hour ago clip, and then this is okay, there we go. I think they looped these are different periods of time. No King's Killer caught, and for some reason, I don't know how he thinks Trump caught the guy. Meanwhile, he's like, something's not right about the Minnesota political assassination story. Dark truth is coming out. Something's not right here. Okay, silliness.
Here in Minnesota, and we're not getting the full story. Something isn't adding up here, and
No, it adds up really clearly. It only doesn't add up if you're still confused about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump being friends. If your brain fart is so greasy that you can't put those two thoughts together, you'll never be able to comprehend that you were wrong about the shooter. You fucking loser.
It's time to talk about it because lives could be at risk. There seems to be a massive cover-up or something much darker going on. Here's what.
Or he's a maggot and you just got to deal with it.
We know. A man wearing a Walter White mask showed up wearing a fake policeman's uniform and tactical gear, driving what looked like a police car. You can see right here in the ring camera footage, the police lights outside of the home. This man's wearing a very, very creepy mask. And I say this man because, well, there's a lot of suspicion as to who actually was this person, because we just don't
know.
No, actually. This was a Walter White mask. This was clearly an homage to the famous Walter White scene in Breaking Bad where he says, I am the man, I am the one who knocks.
Don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No.
This is it's listed as the #1 TV show of all time by IMDb.
IMDb? I don't go to that site very often because I feel like, the feds are going to chase you, are going to track you if you go to IMDb. It's big dicks, right? That's you mean IMDb? Sure.
Well, anyway, the point is that this was clearly somebody LARPing, right? I am the one who knocks because.
No, if he was LARPing, he would not be dressed as a police officer in this process. He just wore the mask because he had access to it.
He showed up as Walter White.
He did not show up as Walter White. Walter White was never a police officer in all of Breaking Bad. You're a fucking weirdo. He got a bald head mask online.
And then he ended up killing the Speaker of the House in the state of Minnesota, somebody who just taken a principled stance voting against, the only Democrat to vote against criminal aliens having access to free healthcare, something that, the perpetrator, the suspect at least, was involved in. But anyway, the point is that everybody's saying, all right, this is a little creepy, but like, what happened next? Because police officers confronted this individual at the house. Look at this. This is the front door right here.
Yeah, they saw him walking out. They recognized that he was not really wearing a police uniform. They asked him to stop and identify himself. He backed in and started firing at them, and they fired back at him. This, again, Jesus Christ, man. We all watch enough true crime. None of us are shocked by any of this. It's how shit goes down, bend over.
Of the home. This is the front door of the house. The cops blew that door to smithereens. Look at all.
No, they did not blow that door to smithereens. They fired into it with what looks like, 10 rounds.
These bullet holes. I can count a dozen bullet holes.
Can you? I'm going with 9. 10. Yeah, I'm going with 10.
Inside of the home. They confronted him while he was walking out of the house. Listen.
Extensive manhunt involving hundreds and hundreds of police officers and SWAT teams searching, gridding off areas as we believe confidently the suspect had fled out the back of the house after being confronted by the police. Very briefly, after the officers had exchanged gunfire and the suspect retreated into Melissa's home, they immediately went up to the threshold and looked in and seen a male that was down, clearly had been struck by gunfire. They made a limited penetration, grabbed a hold of the male and drug him out to safety to attempt first aid. However, he was pronounced dead shortly after that. At that point, the officers surrounded the house, got additional resources and SWAT resources, and then ultimately went in with a drone identifying a female in the home.
So you're telling me that an entire SWAT team and a bunch of police officers literally exchanged gunfire?
No, they're not. You shit for brains moron. No, they're not saying that. We all just heard what he said. What he said was the cops that showed up exchanged gunfire. He retreated into the home. They tried to make a limited penetration. They saw a guy laying on the ground. They dragged him out, and then they called for backup as they thought the guy was barricaded in the house. Then, over a period of time, they sent a drone in to see if the guy was still in there, and they found her dead, and he had fled out the back. He fled almost immediately as they'd been firing on him. So that's why he abandoned his vehicle. Dipshit. Seriously, chat room, like, am I losing my mind here? Is it not? How the fuck does this guy not, like, this is basic information. Good Lord.
With the perpetrator here, with the murderer. And he was able to flee. And they were able to effectively they just let him go.
They didn't let him go. There were dead bodies in there. He was retreated back into a home. They had exchanged gunfire. He was armed. And as far as they knew, he was retreating back into the house. He bugged out really quickly, but they hadn't surrounded the house yet because only 2 cops had come over for a wellness check after the other shooting. God damn. Did these motherfuckers know how to read?
So he just committed murder. They know he wasn't a real cop. He was in police uniform, and he had a police vehicle, and they had seen that there was a murder at the home.
And the vehicle was still in the driveway, and he no longer had access to it. And he was armed in a dark house.
And they just let him go?
They did not just let him go. You asshole. Like, this is so weird. Like, how is this your fixation?
They shot this many rounds at him, and he was able to nimbly flee and get away from officers?
Are you at it? What the fuck? Does this asshole... Okay. This is one of these dickheads who thinks that gunfights all look like they do in the movies, and everybody hits something. Right. At CSL, good point. There could have been somebody else in the house. He could have, he might have been alone, but he might not have been alone. There was talk of his wife helping him, that he had a partner in the car at one point. This was part of the fog of the investigation at that particular point. This is the second house, the third house that he went to kill somebody.
this has got to be like a trained assassin. This has got to be somebody who's like, Vance Bollinger is the name of the individual.
No, it doesn't. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. Does this guy not watch any police activity YouTube channels?
Who they've named as the lead suspect here. But here's the most recent photo of him. This was taken the morning of the murders.
Yeah, basically could be the exact same guy right off the bat. And
this is what he looked like
he wasn't wearing a cowboy hat. And he didn't have a cowboy hat on when he was cosplaying as Breaking Bad police officer guy. Where's the cowboy hat? His head looks totally different with a hat. Thanks, Brick Tamlin. Jesus.
Last known photograph of him, the morning of the murders, he's like fat and out of shape. Got a big like jowl line. He actually doesn't really resemble a lot this individual. I mean, what?
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. He's wearing a tactical vest. It's the Gravy Seal girdle.
It's not great photographs.
All right, what is happening here? Is he just trying to be like the assistant lit professor version of Alex Jones?
That doesn't make any sense.
It makes every bit of sense, dumb fuck. He didn't dodge all those bullets at the second residence. He fired first, retreated into the home, slamming the door. He was like 6 steps away from wherever this fucking door is by the time they were firing into it, stupid.
Bollinger dodged all of these bullets.
Good God. Oh, hold on 1 second. My headphones are being weird again. I don't know why. It's a crazy thing. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can remedy them momentarily with a reset. We'll see if these guys want to play nice. It'll take a moment. There we go. Thank you. And we'll add these to the thing so I'll be able to hear. Fingers crossed I don't get a phone call in the middle of these things.
At the residence, ran through the house, out the back door, eluded police. The guy below did this entire thing. This guy.
Yes, that guy. He bang, 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 bang. They pull their weapons. He shuts the door and is running, which he can probably, let me guess, he can run 8 steps. And they're firing into the front of the house. He walks casually out to the back of the house while they're firing into the front door and walks through a fence and escapes out the back while they think there's someone barricaded in the house. Then it takes them a while to approach the house because they stop hearing shots. They make a limited, they venture into the house. Like, this is all the stuff that he watched. He clearly watched the briefing.
This guy who doesn't look like he could run up a flight of stairs. Huh?
He can. God damn, this guy's dumb.
Also, wait a second. He was married and he had 5 kids?
Yes. Yes, all the Bundy guys wanted to shoot feds in the face too, right? They wanted their women in front so they'd have an excuse to use the snipers. Again, I'm sorry, are you under the impression that like Mormons with a bunch of kids running a child bride ring in Mexico wouldn't abandon 5 of them to I don't know, notch their belt somewhere else? Like, what? So what?
So what happened? You just abandoned all your kids? I mean,
no, I would not. That seems crazy. You're right. I would not do that. Maybe you wouldn't either, Benny, but this guy would. He abandoned them to go to the DRC to preach. He didn't take his family with him. He didn't even take his family with him here. They don't live in Minnesota.
Father's Day, right? Like, I'm a dad. You're just going to abandon your kid. Like, is there any motive here other than the guy snapped, lost his mind? You have a beautiful family. You just abandoned your children.
Wait, did he scroll? Hold on. Did he scroll back to that thing? Hold on.
Lost his mind. You have a beautiful family.
Roommate says Bolter struggled with mental health. Also reported suspect worked at 2 funeral homes to pay his bills and took online classes on mortuary science with the local community college in 2023 and 2024. It's pretty old for classes. Yeah, this is the whole, like, 5 kids and a very loving roommate who works at Papa John's. He's still at large despite using dogs, helicopters. And he wasn't. They got him.
Just abandoned your children? None of this makes any sense. Everyone's starting to say, like, what?
Sorry, asshole. You think the rest of it makes sense? You think walking up in the middle of the night to somebody's fucking house and knocking on their door and blowing their brains out in front of their daughter makes sense?
What? So he's a 57-year-old. He limps when he walks. What you can see here is the last known video of Vance Bolter. He's the individual that they say did this. They said that he outran a SWAT team.
No, they don't. No, they don't. The SWAT team wasn't even on site till well after they had pulled the dead guy out of the house. They called in SWAT after they'd been fired on. They weren't right behind him. This was a wellness check. Again, this is how these lies, like, fly. And you want to know how you can tell someone is blazingly full of shit and farming nonsense? Look at this fucking, like, this tab line here. All Twitter. This is what you come up with when Twitter is your fucking source. This is your brain on Twitter. Benny Johnson. Fucking hell.
And cops on foot.
No, not cops on foot. Cops in front of the house firing into a door because they'd just been fired on and retreating back to position behind a car so they wouldn't die.
And then as you can see here in this footage, you can see Vance Bolter smashing into the window of a car around 6 a.m.
How did he have the strength to bash into a car? That's amazing.
This is him. It's very suspicious. It's strange behavior.
As compared to what? Hold on. Jesus. Fuck, these guys are dumb. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Look at the events with the suspect shooting subject roommate. The shooter was down afterward for space shooter. Preaching, DRC. This is okay. He was not as upbeat after his recent trip like he normally was. Let's see if I can do this on. Maybe it's on Blue Sky. DRC preaching. Yeah. Here's the dude. This is the guy who was, you want to talk about, like, sanity and weirdness? Here's Vance Bolter, this guy from USA in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where he didn't bring his kids along. Had a public association with a business based in the DRC. He's preaching to a congregation at an evangelical church in Matadi, located in the southwestern DRC.
On this earth,
Il n'y a rien d'autre ici sur terre.
all the riches of this
Toutes les
world
richesses de ce monde
can fill a heart
ne peuvent pas remplir nos cœurs.
because you were made by God.
Parce que tu as été créé par Dieu.
You were made for God.
Tu as été créé pour Dieu.
Even in the heavens above.
Même si
Also, real quick, by him yelling, he's making her have to yell, and it's a little stupid. I'm just saying. You're not at the yelling part of the sermon, I don't think.
même dans le ciel là-haut,
All the angels roam.
tous les anges là au ciel,
Some say Satan was over the head of worship.
d'autres disent que Satan était le numéro 1 de l'adoration.
He was the highest of high in the heavens.
Il était l'ange le plus élevé au ciel.
Underneath God.
Je n'ai pas besoin de ça.
Was that enough?
Est-ce que ça, ce n'était pas suffisant pour lui?
Was that enough?
Est-ce que ça, ce n'était pas suffisant pour le diable?
No.
Non.
He said, I want to be
No.
higher.
Il voulait devenir encore plus.
I want more.
Je voudrais plus encore.
If you don't have the word of God,
Si tu n'as pas la parole de
you will
Dieu,
never
I don't think they're buying it. I don't want to go I don't want to read into these people's faith or their understanding of English or French, but I just don't think it's hitting the way he wished it would.
Never be happy on
Tu ne
this earth.
seras jamais heureux ici sur terre.
Even in the heavens above.
Même là au ciel,
You could be the highest
tu
angel.
peux être à l'ange le plus élevé.
And if you're not content with the word of
Mais
God
si tu n'es pas
on this earth,
Okay, so you get the idea. Dude was fucking Looney Tunes, and this wasn't that long ago. So, also the guy is what, 2 years older than me?
But and then he's wobbling through the car, like wandering.
What are you talking about? Your brain is wobbling. What the fuck? All right. Chat room? Who was promised a shot of the dude walking away from the car into the back of the building and barely being able to get up like 2 steps? Was that the expectation? Okay. And instead we just got his arm and his shoulder as he busted a fucking window, seemingly with his bare hand. God damn.
Through the vehicle? What is this exactly?
A bunch of bullshit.
What's going on? It's very strange behavior. How did this?
Yes, from a murderer? I don't know. I think seems right on par with most nutcase killers.
How
Sure.
did the mask shave off so much weight and make him so short? Vance Bollinger is 6'1", 220 pounds. The guy in the
Wait a second. Guy in the image is only 1.5 feet above the door
image
handle.
is a foot.
Oh my god. Do we have to just go through a bunch of fucking Ring camera footage?
1.5 above the door handle, like maybe 5'6". Not to mention he's fit.
He's not fit. You have no idea what he's shaped like. You can't tell from that angle. You also can't tell how tall he is from that angle. You have no idea what the depth of field on that camera is. More than likely, they zoomed it in to look at the guy.
Smells fishy to me.
Okay. That's because you're stupid.
I mean, look at this side by sides. Look at these side by sides. This looks strange.
It does not look strange at all.
I mean,
look at his gut right here. Maybe you just, what do you think that's just all flashlight?
Listen, I know they're odd camera angles, but actually they're very similar camera angles. Like up high, the camera's up high looking down. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that guy's head looks way bigger than this guy's head, and he's only 5'6". So how does this 6'3" guy have a smaller head than this guy who's only 5'2"? It's Billy Barty. That's who it was. It's the fucking mayor of the Munchkin City. That's who attacked.
Strange.
You're an asshole. This is so lame.
Doesn't look like the same build to me. But then, wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't you know it? Cat turd. I expect a false flag event today. Well, look, just on the side of the road, nobody was asking, nobody was looking, but they were able to find his cowboy hat. Huh? Well, would you look at that? Vance Bollinger's cowboy hat just happened to show up on the side of the road. There it is. Breaking news. We found his hat. There's his hat.
And?
Are you connecting the dots yet?
Yes, they found him nearby.
They think we're stupid.
No, they know you're stupid. I don't know what they think about these other people. Gunter Eagleman? That's adorable.
Look at this. This is starting to run the course of a Scooby-Doo episode. Next thing you know, they're going to be an investigator following clues with a big magnifying glass. That's not the same person. This is a 300-pound man, and that's what everyone's saying. Like, what?
Yeah, that's because they're morons like you.
What is
This is Twitter, shithead.
this? Nobody's quite sure what the.
Okay, the other thing is, it's always bad when you're scrolling through breaking news. That's why, when it happens on my show, I try to avoid this whole speculative aspect of things and just trying to get to the details that are available or any video that's available so we know what's actually happening. And then if there's some detail that comes out later that we need to have, we haven't stepped on it by going, I'm pretty sure, because that's silly. This is just time filling, but look at all those fucking tabs. Are you connecting the dots yet?
hell's going on here? But
You want to know what's going on? Benny, you want to know what's going on? You want to know what's going on, buddy? You're a fucking moron. That's what's going on. You're a moron. And that's what happens when morons see stuff like this. We're watching like live moron filtration. It's like they're squeezing it through a fucking pig belly skin, like a pig kidney. Just like put facts in this and see what kind of goopy brown liquid comes out the other side.
okay, they just find his cowboy hat, but we haven't got.
They didn't just find it. They were looking everywhere. They were going all over the place. He ditched it. He threw it away. It's not weird. And near a road where he's driving.
Into the crazy stuff yet. Look at this. Minnesota assassin Vance Boulder's wife detained after traffic stop. She's carrying a bunch of passports and weapons.
Yeah, it starts to make way more sense.
The wife of Vance
Maybe she was the one in the mask, and he's an innocent patsy.
Boulder had been detained.
It's because it's easier for Benny to believe that a woman would give up her 5 kids and go on a shooting spree than this dipshit.
Questioning after cops found weapons, ammunition, cash, passports in her car at a traffic stop. Her name's Jenny Boulder.
Also, I think she just flew in or flew to the area or actually, no, it was at their home. She might have been traveling. I don't know why she'd bring a gun. Maybe they just have one in the car because that's who they are. He was apparently very gun happy. So who knows? But the passport might be because she didn't have a real ID.
She was stopped. And then she wasn't detained.
On what? Possession of a passport? Why would she be? How do you hold her? Material witness? She wasn't even in the fucking state, dummy.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. You're a dummy. God damn.
2 cruisers. Boulder was held for questioning. She was not arrested. They let her go. What? It's not clear whether the Boulders lived with each other. Vance Boulder was known to live at a residence in Camden, Minnesota, which was raided by SWAT. The couple previously ran the company Praetorian Guard Security, which is where many say that he got the security material.
Not weird. So he has access to all the stuff that we're talking about. Just connecting the dots yet?
So a gunman's wife was pulled over. She had a car packed with cash and guns and ammo and passports. And they let her go. Vance Boulder's wife pulled over with weapons and ammo and cash and passports, and the cops did not detain her. See ya.
Yeah, she's not in the state. Insofar as I know, let's see, Minnesota government, wife pulled over as cops make terrifying discovery inside vehicle. Okay, so let's look at this one. Gunman's wife pulled over. We got Vance Boulder's wife detained by authorities. Tip line information. He's going to Kyle Burton confirm KRE that it was just detained in the Onamia area. Okay, Vance Boulder has been arrested. The wife of Vance Boulder, the man suspected was in a vehicle with people detained by law enforcement. The Miles Lack County Sheriff Kyle Burton. So she flew in for this. Confirmed at KARE 11 that Kenny Lean Bolter was in the vehicle with people detained in the Onamia area. So she was detained. I confirmed my office assisted some of our law enforcement partners from Hennepin County in stopping a car in the Onamia area in connection with the investigation. Bolter's wife was in the car along with some other relatives. Burton said he was not informed about what was inside the vehicle, and he doesn't know if they remain in custody. A manhunt for the suspected gunman. Clear here was a good. More details. Arrested after the largest manhunt in state history. Okay, so she was detained, but they had no reason to hold her, and they ended up catching him. It's interesting that they caught him after they pulled her over and detained her.
Let her go free. What? Now this is
again, nothing she is doing is illegal. Unless they can prove it, they can't just scoop her up. Law and order, due process.
Being reported that Vance Boulder's wife was pulled over and detained. I am a little skeptical of both sources, but indeed, this is a very interesting development if true.
Yes, interesting if true.
It looks like, maybe were they trying to make a run for it? I'm not sure.
Why would they make a run for it if it's not even him? Okay. What are they going to help a 5'3" guy make a run for it?
Yes. In a 4-hour window, the wife goes to the bank, drains $50,000 on a Saturday morning. What banks are even open on a Saturday morning that could give you that kind of money? She drives 2 hours across Minnesota, carrying passports, weapons, and ammo.
Hold on.
Husband is cleaning up the evidence at 6 a.m. Again, makes no sense. She would have had to be at the bank at opening to pull this off. What bank was this all withdrawn
You know, stopped by police while driving a car with several relatives near Onamia, Minnesota, late Saturday morning around 10 a.m.
from? Everyone's saying like the timeline makes no sense.
Well, it sounds like she was either maybe he sold her a raft of goods that he was in trouble and she was coming to help him, or she was a participant. But even still, it's still not illegal to take money out of a bank that's your money and drive around with guns that you maybe have a permit for because they had a security company, and a passport isn't illegal either. And she's not a suspect in any of the actual shootings, unless you think that it's her in the mask. And again, that's because you're fucking stupid. Why isn't this playing? Sorry, 1 second.
No bank lets you withdraw $50,000 without notice. The money would need to be ordered ahead of time. Yeah, it's very strange. Sources say this video shows Vance Bulliter wearing.
Yeah, I don't see him limping. Hold on. This is the video that he played. There we go. Hold on.
Be ordered ahead of time.
This is the video. Watch the guy walk.
Yeah, it's very strange. Sources say this video shows Vance Bulliter wearing a cowboy hat, leaving North Minneapolis home at around 6 a.m. this morning.
Hey, I got an idea. Follow me on this, dipshit. Maybe he's limping because he jumped a fence the night before. This is after. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he didn't, warm up his hammies before he went on his fucking murder spree. And therefore, holy shit.
He then breaks out of the window of the car and then walks away from the scene.
Whatever. Like, what is this guy doing? Why would you break the window of your car when you got 5 beautiful kids at home?
So don't worry. He's just like going and committing crime. He's just committing crimes for no reason.
Hey, asshole, it's his car. That's at the house he was staying at, shithead. Again, does this motherfucker read?
I mean, as we said, like this, again, this just makes no sense.
I'm gonna, you okay, chat room? I like the lack of processing power. What kind of 14.4 baud modem is this motherfucker using as a brain? Jesus. Like, even with the baseline information, and he's seen the briefing. He knows the timeline. He knows how it went down. I got news for you, too. People died. People were injured, and then later people died, and other people, they have them on Ring camera knocking on one door, and the people weren't home. I think that's where the extra section footage is actually from. That they've been showing around of him in the mask and stuff. Because the second house he went to the mask, third house, there was a question whether he had the mask on or not, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, he shined the light in their house, and when he put the light down, they went, "You're not a cop," and bang, bang, bang. That's what he did. So I know this, and I haven't been like even hard dialing this shit in, but like it checks, and yet this motherfucker can't grasp anything, and all he's doing is going from Twitter tab to Twitter tab, trying to stop this guy from being a maggot. That's all this is about. The reason he's having such a brain cramp is because the dude's a maggot. He voted for Trump. He's a Trump fan. He's a anti-abortionist. I'm not going to call him pro-life because obviously not. He was reappointed by Waltz to a panel that he was already on because Waltz is a nice guy, and unless he had something specific against the guy, I don't know why he would boot him in the first place for these kind of like workplace groups that they had. And then at some point he was kicked to the curb for something, and he went to the DRC to preach for a while and then started a security company.
I'm not saying people are actively lying to us or that I know more than the authorities. That's not what.
You couldn't possibly. All right. You couldn't, even if they were lying to you, you couldn't possibly know more than they know, because you would need to know more about something than the other person to be able to lie to them, motherfucker. It's just, It's
I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to sow confusion here. I'm trying to
he's not trying to sow confusion. He's just so confused.
say none of it makes sense. Why would this?
It all makes sense. Dude had a kill list. What was going house to house. First house, he didn't kill everybody. He shot him a bunch of times. He just thought they were dead, and he fled. He went to the second house. Nobody was home. It was like a fucking Goldilocks moment. Third one, just right. Opens the door. They say, you're not a cop. He kills them, kills the woman, and then her daughter is coming into the room. The woman tries to shield her daughter and dies on that spot. As that's happening, the cops who are checking on the other people that were, other Democratic lawmakers nearby, they just sent cars to check because this was clearly a shooting, and this happens with judges and shit like that. So they're like, hey, do a drive-by, check on these folks. They pulled up at the house. Guy was just coming out. They see him. They engage with him. They realize he's not a cop, and he's probably wearing the fucking mask. And they go, drop your gun, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, bang, 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 bang. And they go to pull. He slams the door, runs into the house, clears out the back, and they don't know who's in the house and who could be firing him, if he's alone or any of that shit. So they maintain their position. They eventually try to go in, and he's long gone.
This guy, having just committed a bunch of murders and he just got into a firefight with the cops and was able to escape on foot. He was able to escape from the SWAT team on foot.
No, he didn't escape from the SWAT team on foot. This is how these details get filled in. Can I just point out that this is how stupid shit starts rolling. These giant turds that snowball. This is how this happens. He said this dozens of times already. This fuckwad keeps saying he outran a SWAT team. The SWAT team wasn't on the scene for, maybe 15, 20 minutes after the shooting started. And that was before the cops moved in. No, he did not outrun them. He was gone before they got there.
Committing random,
It's not random. That's his car, stupid. Read the fucking articles.
Destruction of property?
It's not random destruction of property. No. Yes, he took off. Yeah, after he shot some people, he was like, you know what I really hate? Mid 2000s convertible SUVs, hybrids. Oh, fuck you.
That's just what he's doing. He's just vandalizing randomly for fun.
No, it's his car. They interviewed his roommate. His roommate said he came here, he went back, he busted into his own car because he lost the keys or something. They were probably in the other vehicle. He didn't have keys for it, and either hotwired drove off in one of the other cars or disabled this one or took something out of it, namely another gun and some other shit, so that whatever he needed, he had a go bag or some shit like that in his car. So he went to get it. He busted the window so he could get into the car. He probably got it out of the trunk, which you can't see right here. And who gives a shit? It's his car, stupid.
Just to get people to pay attention to him? This is making sense. SWAT teams were then called to a vehicle. They apparently found the abandoned vehicle. They're checking houses and garages. This is allegedly the vehicle that he used. Again,
allegedly.
It does resemble a cop car. They were, he was a security guard. He was a security guard, and that was what he did professionally. Residents were told earlier today that Vance Boulder's vehicle was located. Law enforcement will be searching.
Yes, so he took one vehicle to the thing. He had to abandon it when the cops were there. He walked out the back while they were holding down the place. He made his way to fucking somewhere else and called an Uber or some shit, and then ended up back at his own house early in the morning as dawn broke, busted into one of his own cars, got some shit out of it, took one of the other cars that was parked there because he had two vehicles parked there, and drove it for a while. And then they found it abandoned later because he couldn't buy gas and it wasn't full. Or some shit like that. None of this is that confusing.
Local properties in a massive manhunt to apprehend Boulder is, it's very, very strange. They found out that his wife interned for Tim Walz. And of course, he served on a board with Tim Walz.
No, not with Tim Walz. On the governor's board, and he was there before. He was appointed by the previous governor, too.
So, that Tim Walz appointed him to a board. And his wife was
I'm sure he wishes he could take it back, stupid.
Intern.
He also, I guess, fired him from it.
With Tim Walz. So Tim Walz, the governor, definitely knew him and has deleted all posts on X where he mentioned his name, which is very, very strange.
if there were any.
Local connected security contractor rolls up in fake cop gear, driving a mocked-up armored vehicle, and assassinates Democrat leaders on the morning of No King's Day and an ICE riot. Are you really buying this? No. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's just really strange.
Yeah, they are. There are a lot of people. They're really saying it's strange. Like they're on a lot of people on Twitter who may not even be people. Okay, so this is this dude's breakdown. This Jeff Doorknob. Hold on, let me back this up. Let's break it down. Vance Bolter, 57 years old, military private security experience overseas, Gaza, Lebanon. This attack happens before national anti-ICE protests, No King's Day demonstrations, political instability already brewing. Gee, I don't know if you can find a window without that, but we're supposed to believe this wasn't time to manipulate the narrative. Well, he might have. He might have timed it to manipulate the narrative. He might have wanted to show them who's boss. Ahead of this, maybe he does believe there should be kings. Okay, this was every mark of a psychological operation. Yeah, right. Elite level execution. Oh my God, they people weren't double tapped, you dumb motherfucker. It was overkill, and he missed. He didn't kill the first people he shot. He shot them each like 6 times, and they still lived. This is every marking of an early serial killer or a spree killer. Lone wolf narrative ready to go. That's because it's one guy. There aren't any other people. Manufactured imagery, fake cop gear, armored SUV. That's his. He manufactured that imagery. Emotional trigger to lock in obedience. Oh, God. To what? The cops? Why would that lock in? What are you talking about? You'd make Democratic lawmakers afraid to answer their door if the police came there.
It's just really odd.
You're odd.
Like in what you know, like in what
we got son of a bitch.
World is this something that makes sense, but like I guess like who would be setting all this up? Here's the real red flag: the speed of response. Media, politicians, law enforcement, all singing from the same songbook. The ink of the police report wasn't even dry. We've seen the script before. January 6th, Whitner Fednapping, rinse and repeat.
Also, Jan 6, we saw something. Those motherfuckers filmed themselves, dummy. The reason there's more evidence than any other case in history is because the perpetrators provided it to law enforcement by posting it on their social media sites.
Meanwhile, ICE is finally doing its job, and No King's Day threatens to unify people against the establishment tyranny, both left and right.
What? Sorry, No King's Day was going to unify the right and the left? Okay, maybe he started smoking something around part number 4 and it really just kicked in at part number 7.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, a new enemy is some guy who looks like a conservative, smells like a vet, driving a fake police vehicle. This isn't about Bolter, it's about control.
No, it's about Bolter. He's arrested. The rest of us have gone back to our lives. We're not... What control... Like, this... They put this around fucking COVID and all this stuff, too. It drives me crazy. Like, the government just wants to control you, make you afraid to do stuff. Oh, you mean like that how they make me afraid to gun it through an intersection with no signs? Even if I see the stop signs are on both sides of the street or whatever, they want me afraid that somebody's going to run those stop signs. So I slow down a little bit. Now, that could be just me not wanting to die because I know that there are assholes like this out there who think traffic signs are optional. But the idea that fucking traffic signs or click it or you'll get a ticket is somehow an MK Ultra plot is ridiculous to start with. Same thing with vaccines, man. First thing, they want you to get a vaccine. Next thing you know, you're like, try heroin. This is their slippery slope mentality. Oh yeah, first we can't have artillery cannons and old painless, the gun that can cut grass, and and then they're coming for your 38.
They're trying to paint a target on the back of anyone who questions the system.
No, they're not. Dickhead. They're trying to paint a target to catch or kill on a dude who murdered some people, some like middle-aged couples. You fucking nut.
I don't have the answers, neither do I.
Jesus, no shit. Here's the answer. Dude was a maggot. Deal with it. Donald Trump is best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Deal with it. Or shut the fuck up. Oh my God. That's so frustrating. You want to see something nearly as stupid right out of the gate? And I this is a mystery to anybody. Why the hate? Bill O'Reilly, the guy who had to pay a woman $33 million to keep quiet about the sexual violence he perpetrated on her, can't understand why people don't like Trump. What's the deal? Why don't they like the guy? Just because he's an adjudicated rapist and talked about Trump Plaza Gaza and referred to the Palestinians as a cancer and a problem that had to be dealt with quickly, and always sides with Russia and blames sexual assault victims for what happened to him. Gee, I can't imagine. How about this? How about fuck any dude who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter century? How about that? If you were friends with Jeffrey Epstein from 1986 to 2005, categorically you can go fuck yourself. How about that? Is that okay? Is that enough? I think that should answer the question.
So there are two reasons for the hatred, two primary reasons. Number one,
he was Jeffrey Epstein's wingman, and he mocks rape victims and vilifies immigrants.
One, Donald Trump totally rejects liberal policies. And
no, he doesn't. He retreats to them when his fail.
Woke. There isn't one I can find that he supports.
What about the First Step Act? The thing he did with Kardashian lady in the further that would qualify. Yeah. I mean, he's so excited about blacks for Trump.
He didn't used to be that way.
No, he didn't.
Was a registered Democrat in New York City, but now
because he's a clout fucker.
There's nothing on the left that he likes. And two is his demeanor. He's in your face. He does not speak precisely.
I don't know how you could dare say something like that. I mean, that's rude. He doesn't speak precisely.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
I don't know. There's a precision to his
Action
idiocy.
replays in magnified fortune. Look.
Maybe you're right. Maybe so. Maybe not quite.
Look.
Sure. Not quite precise.
He exaggerates, he brags.
Lies.
And he is putting on a show many times in the public arena. Those of us who know him discount that.
Yes, we look past it because we ourselves participate in it. We're all in this shitty towards women club that we all formed in the early 90s.
I do. I mean, his tweets and all this, I don't take him seriously. All right? What I take seriously is what he tells me and what I can see in the policy realm.
I see. So he tells you something different than what he posts on social media. So he's lying to everyone, but he's telling you the truth. So can I add that to a list of reasons why I hate them? Why I hate him? Is that okay?
I take that very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
What he does at 3 a.m. on social media doesn't matter to me at all. But
that's because it won't affect you, asshole. At 3 a.m, he's taking people's rights away. You fucking used rubber.
It drives some Americans absolutely crazy. Okay? Now,
yeah, the ones that aren't multimillionaires, namely.
Contention is.
Don't care.
That Donald Trump became president in 2016 because Americans despised Hillary Clinton.
They'd been taught to despise Hillary Clinton, and they did not as yet understand and cherish things like S-chip and the kind of programs that Democrats do, and they were in sort of rebellion mode.
She lost.
She won the popular vote by 3 million votes.
And at that point, Trump was running as a populist, and the nation just did not want Mrs. Clinton. particularly the heartland. Then,
Yes, the Brainland liked her,
in his first term, Trump did pretty well.
if you don't count the entire last year where we lost hundreds of thousands of Americans to a disease he said would go away when the sunlight hit it, and you could probably just stick some fucking horse paste up your ass and you'd be just fine, or drink some bleach, or have your, shoot a laser into your lungs.
If you are a fair-minded person. So wages for working people went up.
They went up higher under Biden. I wait to hear you support those things.
Inflation went down
No, we had deflation in the final year.
to a very, very low level.
Yes, that was right about the time the world economy collapsed, I think.
And overseas was mostly calm.
All the battles that had started when Trump was around continued to rage, except the part where he took us out of Syria to give a base to Russia that was used to transfer weapons from Iran to Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas. And he moved those troops. He didn't bring them home. He sent them to Saudi Arabia to stand as human shields between the Saudi oil fields and the Houthis. Mostly. He also promised to get us out of Afghanistan and never did. So fuck you, Bill.
By those three, and those are the most important, he did well.
Nope.
But COVID wiped him out and created panic and insecurity.
Because he was completely over his head and useless.
And then in 2020, when Joe Biden ran against Trump, the non-ideological voters, which always decide presidential elections, it's not the Democrats or Republican hardcore people that decide.
Yeah, it's the political windshield wipers. We get it.
It's the floaters in the middle.
Yes. I gotta say, that's how I refer to most Republican-leaning independents, as floaters. Worthy of a second flush.
They're feeling uneasy. And so they voted for Biden because he was a calmer presence than Trump. This is my opinion, but I think it's valid. Okay?
Would you have an opinion that you don't think is valid? Wouldn't you just jettison the opinion? Never mind.
And so Biden takes over. Disaster.
Yes, disaster. Low unemployment, rising wages, infrastructure bill passed, CHIPS Act, strongest union rules. Horrifying.
To a degree that we will see in the next year or so how bad it was. But
yeah, it was so bad when it was good that you'll only see how bad it was after Trump's policies actually get going.
Second worst ever. I don't want to be redundant, but if you read Confronting the Presidents, James Buchanan was the first. And
if that's your book, no one's reading it. No. I'm all for reading all kinds of books, but dude, you're way down the list.
Biden's not going to pass him. But Biden was absolutely, there is nothing that he did that I can see.
That's because it's very dark when your head is up your ass. The infrastructure bill and the CHIPS Act alone and the rescue package basically set the country on a rock solid path that even Trump is having a hard time fucking up. Lowest unemployment and the longest stretch of it since the 60s, since post-World War II, really.
That helped this country.
Also, understand Bill O'Reilly does not care about anything that helps poor people, so that won't even make the list.
Nothing in 4 years. And I believe he wasn't even in command. But we'll see, right? All right, so when you evaluate Trump's reemergence as president, you have to, if you're fair, again, keep the Biden performance, and Kamala Harris is an extension of that, in mind. That's not what's happening.
Oh, I see. We're not sufficiently blaming Biden for what a fuck-up Trump is right now?
The powerful journalists, not as powerful as they used to be,
obviously,
I would say 90% of them, maybe 80% if you count the Fox News
I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I could do the math, but I'm not interested.
crew, they lean toward Trump. They hate Trump.
Yeah, because he's a rapist, and he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. And he's a total scumbag and a fraud, and he was found guilty of fraud multiple times, and so he's been a phony billionaire, and he's selling access to the White House in the most egregious ways we've ever seen, not only with crypto and bringing those dipshits into the White House and to his own property for these private dinners with him, but also with the rules he's making about crypto to basically feather his own nest. Sorry, go back to being stupid.
So let's take Scott Pelley. I mean, he used to be the anchor of the CBS Evening News, lead correspondent on 60 Minutes. I mean, obviously, he loathes Donald Trump, and he is.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe he has a sister or a mom or something, or a daughter. Or maybe he just gives a shit.
Use 60 Minutes to batter the president.
Oh.
And that's what he...
Is he going to be okay?
He does. We reported specifically on how Pelley does not report accurately.
Oh, you mean the way Fox and Friends cut out that whole part about Epstein, where Trump said he wasn't going to release the Epstein files, and they cut it to make it look like he said he would? That kind of stuff? I hate it. Oh, it's terrible.
Fairly about Donald Trump. He just doesn't. And then we had this week this guy, Terry Moran, big shot at ABC, big correspondent, national.
Big shot. You mean the guy who had a job longer than you did?
Correspondent. He's fired because he tweets that Trump is a hater.
Well, he's put on suspension. He wasn't fired.
Well, okay, but you're a reporter, not an analyst. If I want to say Trump's a hater, I can do that because I'm an analyst. I'd never do it.
No, of course not. I mean, what's to hate, right?
Because that's disrespectful to the office. I don't hate Joe Biden.
Get the fuck out of here.
At all.
At all?
I feel sorry for him, but I feel even sorrier for the country that he was president.
All right, yeah, fuck off.
Okay. I hate him. But anyway, Moran gets...
Of course not. He's white. I think you're genetically incapable.
Fired because ABC is on the ropes. They have to do something.
See, like I'm white. I'm very white, but I can hate you because you're an asshole. And whatever you did to that woman that you had to pay her $33 million. Let's do the math again. You know, I've said many times, and I would love to ask Bill O'Reilly this question. How long would it take you to know that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile? A year, 2 years, 5, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years? Would you have figured it out in 12, maybe 15? If 17 years rolled around and you didn't realize he was a pedophile, would you think that after 19 years it would have been obvious to you at 21 years or 23 years, 25 years, and you still didn't know? You still didn't know? I think there's something that applies to Bill O'Reilly as well. If you got to pay a woman to keep quiet for something you did to her, and $1 million ain't enough, 2 million, 5 million isn't enough. $9 million is not going to keep this woman. 12. $15 million will not. 20. 22. $25 million, and this woman is going, I'm going to the press. $30 million hasn't shut her mouth. 33. She finally goes, all right. What the fuck do you have to do to another person where it costs that much to buy their silence? I can't even fathom it. Well, that's not true. I can fathom anything. I choose not to.
Disney, and they did. Then you have Bernie Goldberg, who's my friend.
Hey, my friend!
Who's an honest broker of information. Now, Bernie is an analyst now. Okay, he runs BernardGoldberg.com. We have him on the program from time to time. He has no use for Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, no, none.
At all. He's offended by Donald Trump. Okay.
All right. You could still come to the barbecue. He's not going to show up. Why am I alone?
I'm not mad at Bernie.
You kind of sound like you are.
I respect that opinion. That's
No, you don't.
Bernie's belief. And Bernie, as I said.
No. Bernie's attitude is that he has no use for Donald Trump. His belief is that Trump is an adjudicated rapist or a fraud or a liar or a bloviator or a bully or something along those lines. That's what he believes. You're not telling us what he believes. You're telling us his attitude towards the man in general, not what it's rooted in. You know why? Because if you bring up what it's rooted in, you'd have to agree with it, or you'd have egg on your face in front of your stupid, dwindling crowd.
He's an honest broker. He's entitled to that belief. And then another friend of mine, Bob Costas, brilliant sportscaster, liberal guy, but not a loon. Not a loon, okay? He's crazy about Donald Trump.
Loves him.
Roll the tape.
Those corporations have specific financial stakes in running the gauntlet that the Trump administration will throw up against them, not just in the form of Trump's unhinged Truth Social rants and the things he says that are an affront to basic decency, forget about basic American principles.
Okay, so...
Yeah, zero lies detected.
Well, if I debated Bob Costas, and he doesn't...
And he wouldn't do it, and I mean, he's called me, and I'm afraid to do it.
Want to do that, and I understand, okay? I could beat him.
I'm sure you could. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, at a melting contest?
Pretty soundly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see myself... Trump.
What the fuck is this show? Wait a minute. What is this? What did we end up watching here? Is this just Bill O'Reilly breaking down?
Trump being an affront to basic decency. You know, he's a businessman.
That's because you are, Bill. You're an affront to basic decency. You're just like him. You're just not as rich and you don't matter anymore.
Made mistakes in his life.
You can't legislate people's rights away. So nobody gives a fuck what a skeeve you are.
Everybody has. But I would tell you, believe me, I would tell you.
What the fuck? Has everyone just left the studio? Did they just walk out? Is there anybody here? What? What the shit? All right, I got to jump ahead because we'll never get to, anywhere near the stuff I want to cover. Okay, so let's see. I want to know what Trump's going to do about Iran. You want to know what Trump's going to do about Iran. And apparently, Charlie Kirk has finally gotten his marching orders, I guess. He's on Fox News, and it says Charlie Kirk breaks down what Trump should and will do in Iran. Good, so we get both. So maybe what he should do and what he will do are divergent. That's concerning, depending on what Charlie thinks that is in the first place. Let's find out.
TikTok has helped U.S. businesses generate over 24 billion who started as $1 million jobs.
You China sellout.
Charlie, let's turn now to, I think, what's on many viewers' minds, and that's the involvement of America. You have heard several different references to potential involvement from America. There is, as you mentioned, or as you heard from Trey, intelligence sharing, most likely behind the scenes.
Yeah, but with somebody like Hegseth in charge, I think the chances of that are very low, even if we have material information for them. The lack of intelligence is stark.
Now participating in shooting down Iranian missiles and, of course, the vulnerabilities of American assets, military personnel, and civilians in that part of the world. What should we look at this in terms of America's involvement?
Well, when he says military assets, he means Mike Huckabee, I think. But he's an ambassador asshat.
First of all, what an incredible military accomplishment, what we saw on behalf of the Israeli military. I mean, the ability to act with precision on a singular apartment building from 1,000 miles away, not the 9th floor, not the 7th floor, but the 8th floor, remarkable. And it goes to show how sophisticated the Israeli military is. I will say from a political standpoint here.
And meanwhile, the Iranians are just like, fuck it.
I think overwhelmingly Americans stand with Israel. The question is, do they support America getting offensively involved in this war? And I can say definitively, especially with younger Trump supporters, the answer is no. They want to have Israel fight Israel's war, to stand with Israel, intelligence sharing, defensive measures, totally defensible, and I think is legitimate.
Defense is defensible. Thank you, Charlie Kirk. Thank you for saying that.
Because over 100,000 Americans, as Trey said, are in Israel, and America and Jordan have a long history of having defensive measures to protect civilians. But the question will be in the coming days and weeks, will there be clamoring for an offensive American strategy against Iran? Will some people say, hey, we can finally wipe them out. We have them on the ropes. I would introduce a little bit of caution towards that, especially from a younger generational perspective.
Because while all you guys wear all this fucking no fear gear and American flags and all this Trump shit, all of you are gonna cry bone spurs if anybody gets called up, because your patriotism only lasts so far up the line in Starbucks till you're about 2 people away from the counter and you just have to order the latte.
One of the main reasons we were able to get young people to vote for President Trump so overwhelmingly this last election
was because they're gullible and dough-headed.
Was a reminder that President Trump is the peace president.
A reminder. Well, not quite a reminder then, is it, if that's not the case right now?
That President Trump is able to broker the impossible peace deals. Look what
never has.
He did the other day between India and Pakistan.
Ha! Okay, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. That ratcheted up to mad and they backed down. India's still hitting places inside of Pakistan now. They're still doing it.
Look at what he did in his first term. And so I do believe that...
What he did in his first term. You mean let Russia take bases in Syria and let the Kurds get killed? Hold on. Sorry. We made a peace deal. Hitting Israel, make a peace deal. On social media. Iran and Israel should make a deal, and we'll make a deal just like I got India and Pakistan to make. That's what he posted on True Social. See, over the course of this. I'm going to try the latest one. 1 second. What's over there? This is here. Well, it's the South China Post take on this whole thing. Hold on. Winning narrative: how India and Pakistan's leaders seek cover under their flags after a ceasefire. Leaders of both countries have sought to relay to domestic audiences competing claims of victory in order to reap political benefits. That was that. They both think they won. It had nothing to do with Trump.
President Trump is uniquely positioned here to stand with our allies, to stand on the side of civilization, but also understand that his voters, they want to return to America first, to stand with what is right and just in the world, but we do not want a potential endless quagmire in the Middle East, and I'm confident President Trump will make sure that does not happen. Okay.
Why? Also, what if it just happens and we're just defensively protecting Israel for a long time? Like we did with Ukraine. We don't have boots on the ground there, but you guys were squealing like fucking pigs. Right? The Ukrainians, fuck them. Because they needed arms to protect themselves from an invading force. That somehow those guys are like, they've got their hand in our pocket all the time. They're corrupt and can't be trusted. And this is going on forever. And it's yet another forever war. Blah, blah, this is Biden's war because it's a forever war, that idea. But Trump can solve it in a phone call, but he can't. Why is this different?
Charlie, you were talking a little bit earlier, and I think everybody watching rightfully asks, what does this mean for America? Our thoughts and our prayers are with the people of Israel as they suffer through what they're going through tonight. But it often turns to, what does this mean for the United States of America? As you mentioned, there will be questions.
What does it mean to have a table that high when there are no drinks being served?
There will probably be some push from some familiar corners to see offensive action taken that would involve the United States of America. Many will see this as an opportunity, and we've probably already heard the argument made that now is the opportunity for regime change in Iran. On the other side of that, for those that have not wanted to see another entanglement for America in the Middle East, there is another messier question, and that is defensive. We have bases, we have military personnel, and we have civilians throughout the region. What do you anticipate should be the American response if one of those are targeted? If something happens either...
Yeah, what happens to your little coalition of the dizzy?
By intention or accident?
That's the heaviest, most...
Quality production there. That's great, guys. That camera going black, Fox News, killing it. I don't know what he said, but apparently it was a no-go.
That's the heaviest, most...
It is good.
We have and more potential issues.
Gary, who the fuck sat on the button?
Like that could unfold. And so the more that we allow this conflict to continue, and the more that this conflict does...
Sorry, we allow this to continue? Asshole, it sounds like we're involved if that's the case. The longer we allow this conflict... I thought it was hands off, buddy. Let Israel fight Israel's war.
Continue. You potentially could get American service members involved in one way or the other. You know, I think back to Libya. You remember the Libya example. We offered airstrike support. We thought it to be very easy, very clean, very seamless. And with Muammar Gaddafi, it didn't end up very well. And look, when we deal with these situations, I could...
Yeah, nothing like this circumstance at all.
Tell you how a lot of people in my generation view this, especially...
Yes, you are the millennial whisperer for everyone with a fucking widow's peak that is verging on... You look like Eddie Munster in the Macy's parade.
First-time Trump voters and MAGA voters on these college campuses. They don't want a weak America. They don't want an isolationist America. They want America first, not America only. But there is this hesitation that sometimes there is an oversimplification of how these things will turn out, that will be greeted as liberators, or that the country is always primed for Western values. And I think well,
that's actually true of Iran in a way that it was not true ever of Afghanistan or Iraq.
Last 20 years in the Middle East should just have us take a breath and say, maybe it's not that simple. We should defend our interests. We should defend our allies. But being offensive could come with a great deal of cost and consequence.
Fuckwad, who cares what you think? Look, Israel's going to keep bombing for at least the next 2 weeks until they think they have eliminated this threat or killed the Ayatollah outright or wiped out everybody but him. Basically, the only targets that are off the table, it seems to be, with Israel right now is the Ayatollah himself, maybe, and any elected official, like the president or somebody like that. But like all the IRGC guys who were appointed by the Ayatollah or whatever, apparently those guys have all got targets on their back. All the military facilities, the state TV got hit, but the Al Jazeera station didn't get hit. What about that says to you if we let this continue?
And I could tell you one of the driving forces of the MAGA movement the last decade since President Trump went down that escalator is a asymmetrical and heterodox critique of foreign policy, and one that I think President Trump's going to continue throughout this entire conflict.
You've heard
why? Because he didn't get us out of Afghanistan and Biden had to?
Everything throughout the past hour. The president, I'm sure, is debating all of this, hearing from a lot of different voices about what...
Fucking golfing. He's not paying attention to this. Fucking Hegseth isn't even getting updated on this stuff. This is ridiculous.
What should the American approach and involvement be when it comes to this ongoing, what will soon be most likely war?
What he's trying to say, Charlie, is stop being a big gaping asshole and just trying to suck up to your bread and butter crowd for your little maggot organization. And say something that actually has some material value on planet Earth at this moment. Look at that. New subscribers. Thank you very much. Subscribe, will you? It's a good show. I'm just saying that I put on for you. We could hit 100,000. We could do it tonight.
Yes.
Between Iran and Israel.
Well, first of all, thank God we have President Trump in the Oval Office making these decisions.
He's not in the Oval Office, and he's not making these decisions. First of all, he's in fucking Canada. Secondly, he is not updated on any of this shit.
And President Trump, he has completely remade the Republican Party on foreign policy. He's unafraid to use American strength where necessary, violence against our enemies. But again, he got his political start in his political movement criticizing the endless nation building of Bush Cheney, the quagmire.
Yeah, but you don't get a say, dum-dum. So what? You don't. This is Israel's war. Again, you can't be the peace president if the other country is vetoing your idea.
Of Iraq and Afghanistan and criticize what happened in Libya. I'm thrilled to hear some of the other guests say, you know what? Those weren't exactly good operations. It's largely thanks to President Trump, who mainstreamed that critique, that we're able to say that. With that being said, we don't want to see Iran get a nuclear weapon. It's an incredible balance that President Trump is juggling right now. He deserves enormous credit because we must stand with our allies while also understanding the American people, especially young people, they have war fatigue. They want to see investment in this country, not in a far off distant land.
They don't have war fatigue. They don't. They haven't experienced war. They've watched it on television. And even then, I would argue that, like, what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan, people got battle fatigue from being in that stuff, but it wasn't the war they had a problem with. It was the lack of purpose.
That unfortunately was not very kind to us the last couple decades. I have full confidence in President Trump to put America first, deliver peace, and also make sure our allies are protected.
All right, again, he's gotten talking points directly from the White House. That's what this is. I mean, this we might as well be watching, for all of their hatred of trans people, we might as well all be watching Caroline Leavitt in male drag. Because, honest to God, that's what this is. This is just he's a surrogate for Caroline Leavitt.
Protected in the process.
All right, TikTok is
so stupid. And then the fact that he opens this shit up with shilling for TikTok. Oh my God. Like, they just have, are there no mirrors in their homes? Okay, this has been a fairly, like, all over the place. I'm going to see if I can find this one.
We're very excited now to be joined.
Hold on. This is, we'll show you this in a second. I want to take a sidestep into something, if I may. If I may I jump into something a little sillier right now? Because just something about this, our dear friend CSL, sometimes he throws me a bone and he knows, like, we're dealing with these heavy topics and everything, and he just wants to give me a, like, something that will ease the pain a little bit, that will soften the blow, as it were, that will make it a little more tolerable. Thank you so much, Alexa. Thank you guys for the super chats. Greatly appreciate it. And thanks, JD Christie, for was that members? Thank you. Yeah. So, this is, I almost feel like I'm bad for not saving this for the next time Rob Glenn is with me, but this is too good. Okay. So we've been hearing a lot of dipshittery from Glenn Beck lately about AI. And, apparently that wasn't enough for the mess. So I would pay more for a week with no Beck. Okay, Mark. Deal. Here's why, and this is all whatever. Here's why AI might be less frightening than you might guess. Man, what a pussified statement that is. The pusillanimity. It's just off the chain. All right, so here you go. This is why AI might be less frightening than you'd expect. How frightening do you think I would expect it to be?
I think the point being delivered here is that this AI will come in two stages.
Oh, God. Look, I know I'm in a band called Nerd Halen, but this isn't even nerdy. This is dweeby. This is dweebness. This is dweebosity. This is dweebism in its natural habitat.
But the two stages will rapidly morph the one into the other.
Then if they're going to rapidly morph the one into the other and it'll happen mostly below the radar, then who gives a rat fuck whether or not? It's, oh, God.
The first stage doesn't seem all that scary.
You mean the part where people are, like, having it write shitty and wrong term papers?
You could call it augmentation. Augmentation means you do a task and AI will help you to do it better.
Well, some things can't be improved. Sorry. Some things can't be improved.
Couch humping. Couch humping. Jumping. Feel the beat. Feel the beat. Take it higher. Can't retreat. Feel the rhythm. Can't deny. Can't deny. Couch humping. Reach the sky.
All right. I take it back. I mean, everybody could always work on something. Yes, AI Bigfoot is pretty cool. I do agree. All right.
You're a lawyer, you write a legal brief, but you want some help in looking up cases. The AI will do that for you, will supply you with the cases.
Some of them might not exist, but I mean, if they could afford a better lawyer that didn't use AI, they would. But, fuck them. You get what you pay for.
We'll put the brief together. It's your brief, but you've been helped to do it by AI. This is kind of the way, for example, a college student functions, right? I need to write.
This is exactly how college students function, with some drinking.
A paper. Let me use AI to get information. I'll take the information.
Thank you, John. I agree. Nerd Halen did rock the desert on Saturday, and thank you for being there. And that was awesome seeing you.
I'll synthesize it. I'll put my paper together. But augmentation is giving way, or will give way, to automation. And I mean...
Uh-oh. Debbie's been cracking into the shoebox.
Automation here in the sense that when something is fully automatic.
Thanks. Hey, Benny Johnson, you might be off the hook. This might be even dumber than you managed to crank out. Shit.
Debbie currently has a car that has some augmentation built into it.
And at night, she gets in it, she drives around, and apparently because of that augmentation, she comes back sweaty and satisfied. Sorry. Okay.
If the car is driving and it comes too close to the car in front, it automatically slows down. But who's driving the car? Well, Debbie is. That's augmentation. The AI is helping her drive the car, but it's not driving the car.
I feel so much smarter already.
But we are not far away from a completely self-driving car. That's automation.
We're kind of far away from it.
That's where you sit back. You don't have to do anything. The car will drive. That is my metaphor for AI doing the full job.
It's great. This is awesome. Do you think it's something people will understand because it's not actually a metaphor? It's a direct example of that thing? Is it... Perhaps this is a great metaphor for the fact that you don't understand what the word example means. Oh, shit.
You sit back. You can sit on the couch.
May I?
AI will get the job done.
Debbie.
For you. And so we're talking about tasks that have taken human beings over the years, over the centuries, a long time to do, a lot of physical work, but also a lot of mental work. And suddenly you have AI, which can power technology.
Yeah, suddenly the wheels are in motion, and I'm ready to sail any ocean.
Couch humping. Couch humping. Jumping. Feel the beat.
Sorry. Okay, I'm serious. We're getting serious about this.
Do finance. Prepare PDF.
Trump just left the G7. Did he walk out, Robert, or did he leave when he was supposed to?
Create Excel spreadsheets. Do
nice
analysis. Do customer support. Do marketing. Do copy editing. Do content distribution.
Do lists like this that you had it prepare for you when you said, hey, ChatGPT, make a list of things that AI can do so I can read it. Shit.
Do research. Now, I say all of this because as I spell it out, I am simultaneously a little...
Weasel? I was going to go with weasel. Dweeb. Little jerk. Little cream puff. Sorry, you're a little what?
Disturbed by it?
Well, I would agree. You're a little disturbed. That's true. Absolutely. From a sign, No King's President. Treat us like Russia. We fight like Ukraine. That's awesome.
But I'm also kind of excited by it
because it gets Debbie off my hands. This is rough.
Oh, nice marmot.
Okay.
Because at some level, isn't it a fact that we all work in order not to work?
No. Just you.
Or to put it somewhat differently, you have people who work for the weekend. They work.
Yes, as the great philosopher Loverboy once said, everyone's watching to see what we will do. Everybody's working for the weekend. Everybody wants a little romance. That was the wrong button. I need a new sound effects box. That didn't. I thought it was going to be a big. Maybe I'll try this one. Nope, that was better though. Okay.
So that a time will come, whether it's the end of the week or whether it's when you turn 65, when you won't have to work anymore.
That's right. And you won't have to be here listening to Debbie's bullshit day after day after.
And you will have accumulated enough resources that
I hope to accumulate it.
You can now live and do the things that you want to do as a...
I am doing the thing I want to do, you lazy bastard. I enjoy this. I mean, it's nice that people can super chat and help me to feed myself while I do this thing that I think is a service, but also is enjoyable. While it is stressful in terms of I want to put on a good show, I'm clearly not having the physical stress of working in a coal mine. So I have no illusions about the toughness of my work. So, but I enjoy all aspects of it, and including the tough parts, which are the challenge, which gives me something to look forward to doing. And by the way, as much as people are trying to replace stuff like this on YouTube and other places with AI, not happening here, asshole.
Opposed to the things that you have to do. And so
yes, like Debbie. Yes, and I'm standing. Thank you very much. I'm still standing.
AI does open up the possibility of human civilization in which we are ultimately, not that we don't do things and not that we don't, quote, work, but we now work in ways that we find educational, in ways that we
don't find to be work at all,
enhance our lives. It's not something that we do out of necessity because we have to do it because that's the only way that this, quote, dirty job will get done. AI may come with certain types of perils.
Loving you is a dirty job, Debbie. Loving you is a dirty job. Sorry. Sometimes rat just comes in, and that's what you have to do.
But it also comes with exhilarating possibilities.
Oh, God. That's the end of it? That's how he ends this shit? I don't know. I'm not less frightened than I was.
Types of perils, but it also comes with exhilarating possibilities.
Yes, exhilarating possibilities. Like the Dinesh D'Souza podcast will soon be work-free. I know what you're thinking. It looks like he's phoning it in already, and you'd be right. But what he's hoping to do is replace Debbie with an AI, so she doesn't give him all this shit to read that ruins his day. Because loving you's a dirty job, and I'm the man to do it. I agree, or Broomer. So, yeah. He wants to replace Debbie with an AI, and she wants to replace him with a couple of C batteries. Sorry.
I think the point...
Shut up. That's terrifying. Okay. We care a lot. We care a lot about disasters, fires, floods, and killer bees. Okay, so apparently... Let's go with this one. All right. Fuck him. And this nonsense right here. And then this guy. They still didn't figure this out. Okay. I'm gonna do. How much time do I have left? Shit. I got 20 minutes. God damn it. So this is a guy, Dave Smith, who used to be on. He's on Rogan all the time, and Rogan has had a recent split with Trump over the immigration stuff. And now this dude is apparently having an issue with the Iran stuff. So let's check this out real quick. I don't know how fast he gets to it, but
by a friend of the show, Dave Smith. We're going to be talking about the fallout here from the U.S. Involvement in the war between Israel and Iran. But most importantly, we want to get to the actual goal here of the Israeli military campaign. Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu really giving the game away yesterday in an interview with Fox News, where he calls for regime change with Iran. Let's take a listen.
So is regime change part of the effort here?
Could certainly be the result, because the Iran regime is very weak. I think it's basically left with two things. It's plans to have atomic bombs and ballistic missiles. That's basically what Iran has. They certainly don't have the people. 80% of the people would throw these theological thugs out. I mean, they murder them. They oppress them for 46 years. They've yearned for freedom. I mean, they shoot women because their hair is uncovered. They shoot students. They just suck the oxygen from the...
Oh, Kate just says, Hal, Mike Lindell lost in court today. So the day does end in Y. That's good.
This brave and gifted people, the Iranian people.
I want to talk about the nuclear threat, and I want to talk about President Trump. You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one.
Yeah, Brett Baer thinks what he means is that the two shooters that took a shot at Trump are somehow, related to Iran. They're not. They've sent two different groups allegedly into the country, or plotted to do it and failed. Whatever.
Decisive leader. He's
all right. Anyways, blah. Let's get forward. I want to see what this dude says about where Trump is with this stuff, because this is what the story is really about. And okay, here we go.
Regime change. There is the flattery and the lies potentially about this some so-called Iranian plot to assassinate Trump, and then finally there is the really buttering it up, but calling Trump to join him in this war on regime change. Just broadly, we want to give you the floor, both to react to that and to the entire situation here.
Because we know what you're going to say, and for once we're on the same side of it, so we'll bring you on when we want to play this part of it, and the rest of the time we'll treat you like an asshole.
Yeah, well, it's just you're allowed to throw as many lies at the wall as you want to when you're selling a war. So there's a lot there to kind of unpack. Number one, I would just say, first off, the accusation that Iran was trying to assassinate Donald Trump just doesn't meet the most basic of smell tests. I mean, so you're telling me that the Iranian regime essentially declared war on the United States of America already, tried to murder the sitting president, and yet his response was to try to negotiate with them for a couple months until finally we had Israel attack them. Does that make sense to anybody? They tried to murder Donald Trump.
U.S. authorities have detected an Iranian plot to assassinate former President Donald Trump, leading the Secret Service to increase security around him. This plot is believed to be a retaliation for a U.S. drone strike that killed Qasem Soleimani in 2020. Iran has denied those allegations. Key details of the alleged plot. Individuals involved. Farhad Shakeri, an alleged asset of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has reportedly tasked by the IRGC to surveil and assassinate Trump. He is currently at large in Iran. Associates in the U.S. Shakeri allegedly hired two New Yorkers he met in prison, Carlisle Rivera and Jonathan Lodeholt, to carry out the assassination plot. They have been arrested and charged with murder for hire and related offenses. The IRGC reportedly instructed Shakeri to focus on the assassination in September of 2024, possibly in anticipation of Trump losing the election. The plot is believed to be in retaliation for Soleimani's death, and the Secret Service raised security measures around him. Yes, that happened. Do you guys remember that?
And then he entered negotiations with that?
Yes, because he's a transactional human being and a sociopath.
Come on, this is too ridiculous.
Or maybe he never really meant it when he was talking about these negotiations. He knew they couldn't meet the standard he was giving, and he was just giving Israel plausible deniability so that they could attack.
And you could go back. The thing about Saddam Hussein that a lot of people kind of forget in history is that.
Also, by the way, Warhawks call for regime change in Iran. I'm sure there have been a few out there, maybe, I don't know who, Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, do that or whatever. But the idea that there are some that call for regime change in Iran and some who don't is the spectrum that's going on. But the idea that this somehow should lead the conversation is propaganda from Breaking Point.
It is true that at one point, Saddam Hussein did have what you could call weapons of mass destruction. He used chemical weapons in his 1980 through 1986 war with Iran and was supported by the United States of America while he did it. He then got rid of those weapons programs. And the neocons and Benjamin Netanyahu himself, you can read in his writing in the 90s when he was telling us that Iran was a few years away from a nuclear weapon all the way back then. But he was also saying that they wanted to overthrow Saddam Hussein for other reasons, for their clean break strategy. You can read about this in the Project for a New American Century, in the Clean Break memo written.
Yes, Donald Trump is following the old playbook like we said he would, just like Project 2025. This is another rebrand of PNAC. Yeah, exactly, asshole. The dude told you who he was. But somehow, like he would say 80% of the things he'd say were like, this dude is definitely going to, green light all kinds of shenanigans all over the world. And then he was like, but I want to be the peace president. You're like, you just memory hole all the details.
By Richard Pearl and David Wormser. They talked about this over and over and over again. And then after 9/11, they said the issue here is weapons of mass destruction. But they always wanted the regime change. And so it's the same thing again. The goal here has been regime change in Iran. He's been open about this. He even admitted it a little bit there. But let's just take them. Look, let's just really assess the situation where we are right now. Let's take them by their own logic. If, as all the hawks are bragging right now, or saying that essentially Israel was already at war with Iran because Iran attacked first on October 7th. Their proxies attacked. And what does that mean? You know, it's like when they say Iran is the #1 sponsor of terror. Do they ever have to back that up with data? Do they ever
Yes, they do. Yeah. Saying a regime sponsors terror is an active call. It is not just a random detail you put in your fucking Tinder bio, dum-dum. Yes, they know the money transfers. They know how it gets there. Again, Russia and Iran are friends. That's why all these fuckers have AK-47s.
Have you ever heard one war hawk who makes the claim that Iran is the #1 sponsor of terror ever show you, look, this is how much terrorists have gotten support from Saudi, and this is how much more they've gotten from Iran? No, they never even feel the need to make this argument.
Because it doesn't compare? I mean, go ahead. I would love to hear that. I think you'd be interested. I'd be interested in that detail, wouldn't you? Tell me about the Saudi-funded stuff, because Trump just went over and made big friends with them. He loves them way more. If you're going to talk about him softballing Iran all of a sudden, Jesus Christ, he practically filleted MBS when he was over there. So if you're saying the Saudis are deeper into terrorism and stuff, go for it, buddy. But you're not going to clean up after Trump with that noise.
How much money the U.S. has given to terrorist organizations, or Israel has given to terrorist organizations, or Israel has facilitated other countries give it. Like there's no objective standard here. But
yeah, there is.
If essentially the standard is because Iran has given Hamas some weapons in the past, therefore they're a proxy, and therefore when they attack Israel on October 7th, Iran has attacked Israel. Well then, what is Israel attacking Iran? Other than the U.S. attacking Iran,
Yeah.
right? If that's not, I mean, and come on, and look, this is
proxies.
I mean, that's where look how happy she is. That's where they want this to go. And again, if you're a big Trump supporter, the idea that Netanyahu would do anything without his approval is an affront to his ego. And if Trump okayed this and did give approval to it, that's an affront to everything you voted for, allegedly, which is where this guy is.
State.
Yeah, and same with Ukraine and Russia. It's the same line of argument.
No, it is not.
So if you're,
No. There were not volleys back and forth of missiles, for 3 months leading up to Russia's attack on Ukraine. Shut the fuck up.
This one is so much more devastating because it's not just that we give Israel the weapons and the money and the intelligence, but at the
we sell them a lot of the weapons. We also buy stuff from them as well.
Very least here, I mean, we had people, we had evacuation orders 24 to 48 hours before the attack came. Donald Trump is speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Netanyahu here is clearly saying, saying that Donald Trump knew this attack was coming. So imagine they had that on Iran with October 7th. They don't have anything close to that. So make no mistake about it. We are at war with Iran right now. The United States of America is. Donald Trump has betrayed MAGA, betrayed America first. He has.
Wait, sorry. Are we supposed to believe that that was all bullshit?
That was just bullshit, Joel.
Made the most disastrous decision to lead America into another war. Now, if they want to say that, look, there is an argument here, I suppose, that perhaps Iran is a better candidate for a regime change than Iraq or Libya was. This is the argument they're going to make.
And you just made it like a pussy. I'm just saying. Like, that's the other problem, is that a bunch of these guys are all saying this. They're just not. They're like, well, I could see that this might be a different thing, but I'm so married to my analogy in this situation that I've got to jump back to this. And of course, what's his name over here? Dipshittery over on that side. This is what he brought him on to say.
It seems a much more compelling argument that we're staring at yet another disaster. And as you were pointing out, Crystal, I heard a little bit of your segment as I was.
Oh, you mean like the last Republican leadership got us into the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and this motherfucker's getting us into worse shit while siding with dictators? Hey, I don't know, maybe don't fucking vote for Republicans anymore.
Waiting here, as you were pointing out, which I think is really the most important point, is that this is the celebrating. It's just like unbelievable. It's 24 hours into it. They're all celebrating how easy this was. Look, I remember I was a little kid at the time, but I do vividly remember the celebrations after the Gulf War in 1991. And they were like, look how easy that was. And we didn't take any losses. We went on to be bogged down in that country for 30 years.
Yeah, but not from that. That was a whole other action. We didn't stay in there from the Kuwait strikes. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you not know there were 2 Bushes?
Following that war. We all remember the mission accomplishment. We all remember.
Yeah, different guy, asshole. Different war. Different, father to son. I understand the 2 names might be confusing to you, but we didn't stay there after that. We didn't have to go back in. We didn't, like Al Gore, if he'd have become president, would have been forced to stay in Iraq because George H.W. Bush, certainly fucking Clinton didn't have to.
Hillary Clinton saying, we came, we saw, he's dead. A few years later, when she was running for president, she wouldn't dare bring up Libya because it was so obviously a colossal failure. So the people celebrating this right now are just, they've lost their minds. People get swept up in war fever.
The flash.
Also, what about the Iranians that are celebrating? I mean, it's not for me to say, or not for them to say, I guess, these guys. But there's a lot of Iranians in Iran and around the world that are celebrating the possible toppling of the Ayatollah and that stuff, and seeing a possibility that they could reform. Like there's all these NGOs created by, Iranians in exile that are all over the place. They would love to go back to their country, but they can't, or they'll be killed unless the regime changes. They seem to be excited about it. Are they allowed?
Flashbacks, the WMD talk, the like celebratory mission accomplished vibe, in that clip with Bibi, and I've heard so many others say this, they're yearning for freedom. I mean, it's just like, it makes me feel like, has everybody just erased their memories of what happened here? Yeah. It's utterly.
Hey, asshole, this ain't us. I mean, I know, here's the thing. You have to make the case that America is at war with Iran because Israel's just our proxy. That proxy is, is a permanent status and it never shakes. And that, Netanyahu, it doesn't have a play in this at all. That Trump is being puppeted by the military-industrial complex, and Netanyahu is 3 strings down as a marionette. And that, this is going to happen no matter what the fuck they do. And and so therefore we are at war in Iran. They have to make that case so that they can compare it to the bullshit that the Bush administration sold that we didn't buy. I didn't buy it. You didn't buy it. The vast majority of the people who watch my show or Midas Touch or any of these people who voted for Kamala Harris, voted for Joe Biden. Specifically, Joe Biden was the guy who told Obama, like, the generals are going to keep telling you just 3 more months. And and the next thing you do, you're going to look up and years will have passed. Get the fuck out. And when he became president, that's what he did. Everybody was telling him punt. As soon as he came in, the generals were saying the same thing they had said to everybody else. And what did Joe Biden do? He got the fuck out. The only reason he extended it 3 months for himself was to extract as many people who had helped us as they possibly can. Because Trump had set this artificial deadline that he has already said he would have punted. So fuck off with this nonsense that it's direct comparison. A, it ain't our country. And if you're arguing that Israel is just doing everything it's doing out of a proxy attack, or even if they're just counting on us having their back, that's still them acting like any other European ally would be in a situation where they were attacked. The idea that this is like we're yellow caking this shit is just dumb. On Thursday, the Iranians said we're going to enrich more uranium. Not only are we going to keep doing what we're doing, but we're going to open a new site to do it. Iraq never did that. Iraq didn't go, you goddamn right we've got sarin gas.
Insane to me. And to your point about our involvement, let's put this next piece up on the screen. We now know that at least the recent discussions about, diplomatic negotiation.
A U.S. official confirmed to me that over the weekend, Israel had an operational window to assassinate Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, but President Trump made it clear he is against such a move. This was first reported by Steve Holland. I've heard this bounced around as well. And what U.S. official? Hegseth?
And hey, we're going forward with these talks this weekend.
This, by the way, this sounds like a talking point. The U.S. official would be Caroline Leavitt, because he's losing his standing with the maggots over not being the peace president. So they have to lay this at Netanyahu's feet and say, well, we talked them down. They were going to do way worse.
Was a ruse to provide cover and the element of surprise for the Israelis. So now you have this report. A U.S. official confirmed to me over the weekend Israel had an operational window to assassinate Iran's supreme leader.
I already read it.
Khamenei, but President Trump made it clear he is against such a move. This was first reported by Steve Holland. There is no reason for anyone, us, the Iranians, anyone, to believe these reports.
Right. Which ones, though? All of them? None of them. It's like watching that dude who's allegedly an ex-CIA guy who's all over the place. You're like, dude, how do I know? How does anybody know whether you're telling the truth or not? Because the whole thing you've taught everybody is that you're all about deception, evasion, and intelligence. So maybe you're not. It's like, I feel like the computer in Star Trek. If everything you say is a lie, then that was a lie.
I mean, it does also remind me of, during the Biden, they're very upset with Netanyahu leaking to always Barack Ravi. They're very upset with him, et cetera, et cetera. Why?
Biden cussed him out.
Would anyone ever believe a word that comes from Trump or Steve Witkoff or anyone else associated with this administration?
I don't.
After they've gloated about the fact that they were using diplomatic negotiations as a tool to help kick off this war. I mean, I'm seeing this. I'm curious your thoughts about this, Dave.
Sorry, is that a direct quote? Sorry, they used diplomatic negotiations as a ruse to kick off this war. Witkoff and Trump have said this somewhere.
I've seen this analysis that Trump was persuaded, this might be true, was persuaded by Bibi that he would have a better hand going into negotiations with Iran if he let Israel start this war and participated, as we've indicated, in starting this war.
He talks like a tough guy all the fucking time.
That is the most idiotic, insane possible analysis I can imagine. I guess it's possible that he really is that absolutely idiotic.
Yes, he is. He is that stupid. And this guy voted for him. That's what we're here to talk about.
But, what?
But, like, okay, I need to jump ahead to whatever the fuck this guy was saying that everybody was, because again, he's a reg on,
he has, again, we're kind of speculating here, but he has bragged in the past several times about how he's so smart for keeping these hawks around, because then that puts all these pressure on people to come to the negotiating table.
That's why he said he had John Bolton.
Yeah, his example.
It's literally the only person he talked about. Raisin Kane, he just likes his name.
Was John Bolton, who killed the deal with North Korea. Like, that was his example of it being like such a stunning success or something like that. It reminds me of like when people brag about the Abraham Accords and what a success they were. And you're like, oh yeah, They worked out so great. They led to this. Like how I don't even understand how you could, it'd be one thing if peace.
What did you, this guy voted for Trump this time. Sorry, you had this idea about the Abraham Accords and you still voted for him?
Swept the Middle East after the Abraham Accords, and you go, oh, okay, maybe they played a role, but it's been a nightmare all across the worst fighting that we've had there in 20 years. And so since our last
Is his back wall says part of the problem? Is that the ironic thing that he doesn't consider himself part of the solution? So that's what the show is. I don't care enough.
Disastrous invasions. But so, look, I mean, it seems to me like there's a couple possibilities here. None of them are good.
Well, then tell us how happy you are you voted for Donald Trump.
One of the possibility is that,
and then apologize to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Which I think is plausibly the case, that Israel betrayed Donald Trump, and then this is just his best way to deal with it. Like, essentially, Donald Trump was trying to negotiate, and then Israel just went ahead and launched the attack anyway. And then as a response to that, Donald Trump would rather look strong and go, no, I was in on it. It was our plan all along. Or the other possibility, which I think is more likely, is that he was never negotiating in good faith and it was a distraction and Donald Trump was in on it. Either way, we're at the same place.
Yeah.
Either way, even if Donald Trump was betrayed by the Israelis and then just took their side in public, which has happened with different presidencies over the years. It's certainly happened with Bill Clinton after Camp David. So maybe that's the case. But then either way, then you're just so weak and pathetic that even after the Israelis betray you, you'll still come out and catch their back and support them in this war. Well, that's just as bad from the Iranian perspective and from any reasonable person's perspective. So, we don't know. We'll probably find out more about this over time. But either way, in effect, it's the same thing. And then we're left in the position where you're supposed to sit here and justify a sneak, aggressive, preemptive attack. Like somehow you're supposed to feel like you're the good guys in an absolute war of choice against a country that does not have nuclear weapons. Let's get real here. The only country in the Middle East who secretly has nuclear weapons is Israel. Iran is a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel is not, and they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and
it's
they're
just unbelievable.
a rogue nation attacking six of their neighbors as we speak, and are not part of the non-proliferation.
We actually have
cool with that.
We have a non-compliant nuclear member of the NPT actually attacking a member of the NPT who is far more in compliance with said international treaty. Hey,
but hey, you voted for Trump. Tell us why. Jesus. This is sitting Israel teasing the return of monarchy to Iran as his government is bombing it. Soon in Tehran. Okay.
Basically insinuating that they are going to re-implement the monarchy and or just like this, fascination with these Western figures who have lived here, for their entire lives almost at this point. We're like, oh, actually, these guys.
Yeah, it's like DACA kids. You don't have Spanish or Mexican heritage. You may have come from South America when you were 9. You don't know shit. You don't even speak with the right accent.
Because we're buddies and they agree with us, the people of Iran will totally take to that.
Okay, hold on. Where's his little... There it is. Hold on.
Reason why we have the current government in Iran that we have, which is a horrible, repressive government that does not give their people liberty, and we should all, oppose that. But the thing is that...
But not directly and not actually in any actionable way.
That war is so much worse. It's like...
Sorry. War is all right. Depends on what kind of war. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you were actually liberated because somebody else attacked your leadership and then finally you could go home or whatever, you'd probably feel differently, I guess.
Saddam Hussein was a brutal, oppressive dictator also, but the worst thing that ever happened to the people of Iraq was George W. Bush invading the country. And, the only example...
So if they were still under Saddam Hussein, their lives would be better now. The ones that are alive, the ones that... Obviously, and again, this is from somebody who didn't support the war, so...
Examples that people look to, which are, rather remarkable.
Oh, the Trump v. Carney, Leslie, did you see that?
Examples of regime change are Germany and Japan, and how they were brought back into the, liberal international order after World War II. But what was required in order to get to that point was a clear war on the civilian population with, millions of casualties. And that, like, if you're...
No, we did not declare war on the German populace. And even the nuking of Japan, where they went from an imperial system that was cult-like, more akin to North Korea, to the country they exist as now. That's one of the biggest Gordian knots of discussing Hiroshima and Nagasaki, is that it had the intended outcome. The Japanese people are clearly better off not under an imperial, an emperor who turns them into his own, like, sock puppets to die on his behalf.
If your argument is we should bring that to Iran, then don't tell me one word about how you care about how the people of Iran are being oppressed, because that's a far worse, level of oppression. And so, this is, again, as...
Also, again, if you're going to nuke them, sure. I agree.
You guys have touched on, this is always how they talk at the beginning of these wars. It's always that...
And in the middle and after them and during them, and it depends on who you're talking to and who's talking about it. And if you ignore everybody who has even a moderating voice on it, or assume that they're all neocons, if they're talking about it in gray terms at all, then of course everything sounds like a one note to you.
Democracy will sweep the region, and that the people will greet us as liberators. It'll be easy, paid for in oil, all this stuff. But, sit here and tell me about how Washington, D.C. or Tel Aviv can, reorchestrate another society, can reconstruct it from the ground and choose its leaderships. I mean, just think about the hubris involved in that. As the late, great Harry Brown used to point out when he was talking about the war on drugs in the United States of America, the U.S. federal government can't even keep drugs out of federal prisons. Washington, D.C. can't even solve the violent crime problem in Washington.
Well, there's an argument that they don't care to.
Washington, D.C. But you're telling me
that they serve a pacification purpose and certain elements, and they also give them the ability to do, to, like, strip everybody's cell whenever they want to because of the existence in there. That would be the reason. If you can think past the end of your own nose.
We're going to install the new leader for the Iranians and the...
No, we're not. And we don't intend to. And no one's talking about that except you. And even Netanyahu and those guys are like, hey, the guys who used to run the joint would like to go back and turn it into basically a European country. And wouldn't that be lovely? And you already agree it would be.
People will comply because what? Because the regime is so weak and the people want liberty so much. This regime has ruled since 1979 with the most powerful governments in the world opposing them, working on ousting them the entire time. And they've...
No, they have not. Honestly. No, they haven't. As a matter of fact, it's been containment ever since, because it was so murky. You can basically say from the mid-'80s on, or the status quo with Iran has been containment and isolation, not regime change.
Still stayed in power.
Certainly not this way.
So you could tell me a nice story. It's easy to write down a nice story. Oh yeah, I say we intervene and then we put the Shah's son back in and then everything works out fine. Okay, let's see that happen. And the other thing that I'll add, and I don't know, I mean, maybe things have changed to some degree. I mean, certainly Israel was able to pull off that drone attack, which I don't think they would have been able to pull off in years past. But it was in 2007 that the Pentagon told George W. Bush that we cannot go to war with Iran because we do not have escalation dominance against them, essentially meaning that they can hit all of our bases and embassies in the region, and we are very vulnerable to them. And we've already seen demonstrated since the Israeli attack that the Iranian, the missiles that they sent last year toward Israel, as many of us guessed, that wasn't really their best. They were intentionally making an attack that wouldn't really hurt anybody, that wouldn't really lead to a war, which Iran has done over and over.
Because part of the reasoning behind that is they don't have the power that people think they do. So they didn't go for it at that time because the response would have been terrible. It's the same thing with Russia. This is the same bullshit we're hearing with Russia all the time. Look, man, do you want them to nuke us? We should just let them have Ukraine. That's the same. These are the same motherfuckers.
over again. But now we've pushed them to the point where they probably don't feel that they have the option not to respond. And Donald Trump telling them to come back to the negotiating table now is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, what a impotent leader to be sitting there talking about coming back to the negotiating table. It's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now
No, it isn't.
the time to go negotiate with the Japanese.
Right.
Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached.
He voted for Trump, the guy over there, so he still likes him. So she might. Well, I don't know. She and Kyle, are like these rich lefties, the millionaire Marxist crowd, like Jimmy Dore and that crowd. So like it's hard to figure out what their actual feelings was, like how they really threw the lever versus what they really said. But yeah.
And removed for this one, and not on some.
Sorry, he says he should be impeached and removed.
Was before this, and so yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one, but he should be impeached and removed for this one, and not on some not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of corrupt hacks.
This is the one
But
thing they support. This is like
Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and.
Yeah, do yourself a favor, buddy. Hold your breath until they bring you back on Joe Rogan and say the exact same fucking thing to him. Because I gotta tell you, like I have zero. Not only do I have zero faith in the maggots turning on him and those kind of numbers, where the only choice we have is to flood the zone with Democrats in every possible way going into 2026. But it's not because we can count on the maggots standing down in this situation. That's absurd. We just have to outnumber them. We got to bring our A game completely in the next 3 election cycles. No apologies, no holding back at all. Otherwise, we're handing it over to these assholes, and the Congress aren't going to stand up to him. And this guy, in 2 weeks, depending on how this goes, will absolutely flip back over to I was a little hard on Trump.
Campaigned on and everything that he stood for. And I will say, despite the fact that, Donald Trump supporters have been labeled like a cult following, and that certainly is true for a percentage of his support.
Yes, 95 is a percentage.
He is going to lose his coalition over this.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I don't just speak for myself when I say there are a lot of us who simply will not go along with this.
Well, you'd have to. You've been simply going along with it like a bunch of fucking simpletons, you simp, this entire time. Again, why is anyone surprised by any of this shit? What? You mean he's not the peace president? What? You mean tariffs actually take more from the economy than they give? How fucking thick? Now look, if these guys are willing to, walk back, blessings to you, sir. Yes, find your dead ass back, some rambly path back to the road. But good God, if you think I'm gonna hold my breath waiting for maggots to wake up, forget it. These guys will find another excuse. Yeah, because I got to tell you, I'm still of the mind that the only thing that will drive Donald Trump's supporters away from him long term is the fact that he cannot and will not release the Epstein files. Eventually, the Vinnies of the world are going to ram-butt each other's heads into that fact, and there's no way they can talk themselves out of it. They just can't. All right, I'm a little bit over, but I do want to see. Let's see. This was that's the Carney one, but it's only one line from it. Hold on. Mark Carney. Mark Carney. Trump. G7. We'll take a look at this one. That's the welcome, and then their little. Okay, this is their little talk. Where is it? Here. Hold on. That's the intro. Sorry, beg your pardon. We'll find that. It's this guy. Nope. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. All right, they're working their way into the room. These are my favorite kind of videos because when people have their cameras out and stuff and they're just punching a hole. This is because Trump and his people can't organize shit. So you see a lot more of this kind of footage with him because they're like, what room are they in? I don't know. They don't know. It's so fucking pitiful. Good Lord.
Yes, either not.
1 second, sir. All right. Bring everybody in. You good to go? You good to go?
By the way,
good to go?
Is it just, we're totally good to go. Is it just me or does he look like, hold on. He's starting to look like Chris Griffin on Family Guy. Does anybody notice that? Hold on, let me see if I can find a, yeah. It's getting a little weird. He's like the aging Chris Griffin. He's like, what would Chris Griffin be like on Family Guy if he was an old man? That's it. That's what it would be. Oops.
Go ahead, sir. All right, thank you. Mr. President, welcome to Canada.
Connie.
Work together with traders and some other aid and
partners with your leadership.
Oh, by the way, Trump says traders, and it sounds like traitors because he's a fucking idiot. And the audience laughs, I think, uncomfortably because of this.
Very much looking forward to the meeting and grateful to have you.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it, and we've developed a very good relationship, and we're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people.
My top economy people.
But we have a very talented group of people, and you do too, and I know they work together very well.
And by the way, there's Susie. She doesn't go anywhere without her. She's running the country right now. Just letting you know. Like, the Wicked Witch stories about her are going to be famous once this is all over. That's where the books were going to be written. Best is there because he's tall. Rubio's there because he's a good lackey, and you can throw him in front of the bus. And whatever.
I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in.
Because they attacked Ukraine.
And I would say that that was a mistake because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in.
They got out because there was a war.
And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But
you were president 4 years ago. Well, 4 and change.
It didn't work out that way, but it used to be the G8, and now it's, I guess, what's that, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that.
Yeah, because they backed all your loans.
You spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table.
Right. I'm sure you talk about North Korea too, all the time, but I don't think you want to bring him into a joint chiefs of staff meeting. So
it makes life more complicated, but you would.
No, it doesn't.
Have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada.
Why?
And I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so much. Thank you very much.
Many of the issues you've been avoiding. Can you please answer some questions on some of these things?
Mr. President, holding up a deal with Canada?
Say it.
What is holding up a deal with Canada from your perspective?
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept, and Mark has a different concept, which is something that some people like.
Which would be what? Not tariff?
But we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person.
Believe me, you're at bottom. This is rock bottom. Wherever you are, whoever's around you, they're at rock bottom.
I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise.
It's been none of those things for the last 3 months. It's been a fucking tornado.
And it just goes very quickly.
It does not go very quickly. None of it has gone quickly. except the damage, I suppose. Maybe that's what he means.
And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also
Yes, one that actually involves real numbers.
so very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to
And of course, it has to be in French, en français as well.
see what we're going to come out with something. Hopefully,
Do you think a deal is achievable within days, within weeks? Is there that kind of runway?
yeah, it's achievable. Both parties have to agree. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, why not? If we both are okay with what happens, then that would be a deal. A deal is when both sides agree on something, so people could agree at whatever time, whenever they agree, then that would be when you'd have a deal. It's very simple and direct.
Have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the
Yeah, on Fox.
Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say in
You get the feeling that like Russia, Ukraine, and India, Pakistan are just kind of in a jumble over top of whatever he's saying.
your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about that.
As you mentioned Putin, do you think that he should have a seat at the G7 today, that it should be the G8?
I'm not saying he should at this point, because too much water's gone over the dam, maybe. But it was a big mistake. Obama didn't want him.
And that's good because he's an evil motherfucker, and Obama is a smart, decent man and a good judge of character, unlike you, who apparently can do your hobby besides your second best hobby besides golf is cheating at golf. Sorry, is hiring completely useless people to do incredibly important jobs.
And the head of your country, the proud head of your country, didn't want him. This was a big mistake. You wouldn't have that war. You know, you have your enemy at the table. Even I don't even consider him. He wasn't really an enemy at that time. There was no concept. If I were president, this war would have never happened. But likewise, if he were a member,
well, then why won't it stop now that you are? If you could magically keep it from starting, why can't you magically stop it? Because you're a liar.
What was called the G8 at that time, it was always the G8. You wouldn't have a war right now.
Why not? What real support and what intelligence support are you providing Israel?
We've always supported Israel. We have for a long period of time, strongly. And Israel's doing very well right now.
Why not have China?
Yeah, they're doing great.
You make a Canada's
Why not have
defense
China here, the
spending?
biggest economy in the world after the United States?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I don't mind that. If somebody wants to suggest China coming in, I think we suggest.
No. It isn't just the economies, it's the democracy part as well. There's a difference between, like, again, how you do trade with a communist country or an authoritarian country or a monarchical country, especially a religiously, like an extreme religious monarchy or authoritarian system is very different than how democracies would do it. The G7 is a meeting of democracies. Russia ceased to be one. Shut the fuck up. You don't know why. He doesn't even know why this group exists.
But you want to have people that you can talk to, you know.
I agree. Wouldn't you agree? I do. I think it's great that I don't know why you would ask somebody that's your best friend. Yes, I know. You and I have been friends for a very long time. Yes, and when you were 15, you would shut up.
They don't talk. Putin speaks to me. He doesn't speak to anybody else. He doesn't want to talk because he was very insulted when he got thrown out of the G8.
Aw.
As I would be, as you would be, as anybody would be. He was very.
Yeah, but would you have invaded a nearby country? I guess he probably would have. Never mind.
Insulted, and I mean he was thrown out by Trudeau, who convinced one or two people, along with Obama. He was.
You mean the rest of the the other seven?
Thrown out.
Uh-huh.
And He's not a happy person about it, I can tell you that.
Oh, sorry. So that's why he sent rape squads into Bucha, because he's upset that he's no longer part of the G7, because he took it personally.
He basically doesn't even speak to the people that throw him out, and I agree with him. Go ahead.
Well, on immigration, why are you ordering ICE to target Democratic inner cities? What's behind that?
I don't know what you're saying.
You did a post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democratic.
Yeah, I want them to focus on the cities, because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York, I look at Chicago. I mean, you got a really bad governor in Chicago and a bad
Yes, the governor of Chicago is really bad.
mayor.
And the mayor of Illinois, what a dick.
But the governor's probably the worst in the country, Pritzker. But I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals, and
Yeah, it hasn't. It's actually really lovely. I love Chicago.
New York and L.A. Look at L.A. L.A. Those people weren't from L.A. They weren't from California. Most of those people, many of those.
Of the 7 to 12 million people in the greater Los Angeles area into the San Gabriel Valley and the Inland Empire, all the way into downtown Los Angeles and all the way up the coast. Those 600 people that were making noise.
People, and that's a focus. Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country. Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails out into the U.S.
No, they weren't.
Most of those people.
Then why would you have to even bother with a baby with cancer? Why would you have to go into a meatpacking plant and run out people who are obviously moms?
Are in the cities, all blue cities, all.
Well, that's where the money is.
Democrat-run cities.
Right, because they're successful cities. So you don't go to a shit city where you come in. You're gonna break into the country. You're gonna break into America, and you're gonna hang around in Texas someplace in some podunk. You're gonna go straight to the big cities because that's impressive. That's where all the opportunity is.
And they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
No, they don't.
That's
it. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as G7 chair, since we have a few more minutes with the president and his team, and then we actually have to start the meeting to address some of these big issues. So,
thank you. Thank you immediately.
Merci beaucoup, Dorian. Oui. We got to cut this off because if he talks any more shit like this, we're not going to have a single agreement at this stupid thing. We all largely consider a waste of time. Did we hit the goal? Hold on one second. Let me get one of my Discord, because look at that. Oh my gosh. Lovely. Thank you, Joy, for the memberships. Oh my God. We reached the goal and everything. Okay, so now, because I've got to do I promised I would do a half hour, I'm already over a half hour, but I'll still do it, a half hour AMA. So let's do an Ask Me Anything. I don't know how we're going to, do I just grab them straight from here, I guess would be the primary thing, and just go with it. Simmer down. I'll give you guys a moment to reset. And then as the end of the show, by the way, hit the like, subscribe, share the show, etc. Do you like the new digs? I made some more of these, so I'm going to change them up a little bit so we have a different part of the ship. All right, back to here. Okay, it's all right. When are you going to put a ring on it? Summer's been married before. She's not in any rush. Hey, Liberal Dan, what's happening? Cool Digs, thank you very much. Can we see the cats? It's not an Ask Me Anything, but I will get a cat before I leave. How about that? Poor Canadians today. Yes, I feel bad, but hopefully he's leaving soon, so that's good. Okay. You like the new one? It's brighter? Yeah, I do too. When am I running for office? In 2028. I will be running for president. And I will be calling on all of you to help me gather my signatures, because that's the hardest part. We put astronaut Trump in a portal. I don't know that I want him anywhere near the place when I don't have to have him there, right? Boxer brief? Boxer briefs. Thanks for asking. How's the new cat doing? Fantastic. Bucky is adorable. Maybe I need I do have a cat cam. I don't know if it's, hold on. It should be stacked up like this. Let me see if I don't know let's see. Do I have? I'd have to add it to this guy. Let me try to do it while I'm doing it. I don't know if the Republicans will admit Trump has a senility problem. No, they will not. Will I be doing any more TV series? Yes. Love the necklace. What is it? Oh, it's the Shield of Luke. He's the Celtic god of polymaths. He's the Celtic god of being good at everything, and playing music and being a poet and doing woodwork and steel work and like doing everything basically. He's the master generalist of and I just love that idea. So, why do you call Kyle a Marxist? Sounds like what the right does. Because Kyle does a good portion of the time. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's called it directly, I am a Marxist, but he talks up Marxist philosophy and stuff like that. That's all. I've seen the new Naked Gun trailer. I have not, but I've seen the new Spaceballs 2 teaser, and I'm very excited about that. Do you like black licorice? Yes, and it's good for your singing voice. So Chris Murphy is my VP. I would pick on that. Everybody wants John Fugelsang or the Major, but we've got options. Mark's had some good ideas. If you write enough, you'll come up with a couple of good ones. But the rest of it, and here's my problem with Mark. You want to go a little deep for a second? The debate between capitalism and Marxism. Marxism is a borderline theological, philosophical idea about economics. It is not a material economic theory. Capitalism is. This person has this much money, they invested in this thing, their return should be this, and capitalism is based on those that develop wealth over time will eventually take that wealth and turn it into other wealth, and it's a material-based concept, whereas Marxism is borderline religious language. That's the biggest problem with it, besides, its failures. Richard Wolff is a Marxist? Yeah, but a terrible one, because he has a giant investment portfolio, which is why he freaks out whenever Trump does shit. With the stock market. Donnie Two Dolls, right, when a moron gets dementia. Have you ever met Wolfgang Van Halen or his mom? I have not. But we're going to meet Wolfgang eventually. I know it. And Valerie will probably be there. How do you do Botox? No. I can't understand why any actor would do Botox. Because the whole purpose is to use your face. And so I don't understand why any actor would freeze part of their reactions. That never understood that. How would you... who would you bet on a fight, Stephen Miller or me? Everett, you. Yeah. Because you care and he's a sociopath. You just have to go, I would say high arms, go in. You're going to come low like this, couple of shots. And then as he goes like this, box his ears and shove him down a flight of stairs. I'm kidding. This is who put the bop in the bop, shabop, shabop? Cyndi Lauper. And if you don't know she-bop, that's your problem. Hal Sparks, have you been master of your lodge yet? I have not. I've only been the senior deacon. When's the next free Nerd Halen show and where? 24th at the Ultimate Jam Night. We're doing a couple of songs. It won't be a full show, but we'll be doing 2 songs from Live Without a Net, because the shows are this next jam is about live shows. So I'm doing a Kiss song. I'm doing 100,000 Years, and then we're doing. I think we're opening with the fast version the Queen did of "We Will Rock You." Trump left the G7 early. I mean, so they can get some work done. What's your favorite Van Halen song? I'll Wait. Any idea when you're going to officially kick off your presidential campaign? It'll be early part of 28. Will Nerd Halen ever come to Ohio? Yes. I'm trying to get us everywhere. It's just a matter of when and how. But hold on, I'm going to open this back up because there's a lot of questions. This is good. This is all right. Thank you guys for the super chats and making this happen. This is amazing. And again, holy hell, joy with the memberships. That was so lovely. Favorite Star Wars movie? Empire. Yeah. I mean, I love the original because you still have that impact, but Empire is my favorite movie as a movie by itself. Love your interviews on the morning show. I was in high school during Kent State and knew people that were there. Oh, well, thanks, Independent. That was thanks to Andrea for booking our guest today. That was fantastic. More like that, please. I'm all for it. I mean, I love our regulars. Don't get me wrong, but it would be nice to rotate some people through, one-timers or that are specific to specific issues we're dealing with. Would be great. If you've done any San Jose, California shows or Fresno shows, I know some spots that would love to have you guys. We haven't done any, not Nerd Halen. I've done the San Jose Improv a few times. Please come to Connecticut for a show. Absolutely. Dreams. I love Dreams. I've been trying to talk Caleb into doing that right now. My voice is a little tired from the other night, but I have been working on Dreams specifically. So when I'm working on a song that's tough like Dreams, I have to do it like, how do I make it easy? How do I take these high notes and these power notes and make them easy for myself? And so that's where I train my voice on those things. So right now is lovely. We've done that a couple times. First time we did it, it was a nightmare because we have to play along with a keyboard track, and the drums, the tempo on it is very weird. That it's really hard for our drummer to kick in on that. It was a lot. Yeah, very informative show this morning. Capitalism isn't that old. Well, exactly. But it's a market-based economic theory that has a material, it operates in the material realm. Wouldn't it be nice? Favorite comedian of all time. Whew, that's a tough one. I mean, Carlin is a master writer, and a lot of people say that. For me, Steve Martin was obviously a big influence. But there are a couple of, it's less about who's my favorite, but who I think was inspiring to kind of like break out of what you thought stand-up could be. And again, Richard Pryor's Black Ben the Blacksmith was an inspiration when I first heard it because there's so much in it. Richard Jenny, rest his soul. And I was a big fan of Billy Crystal's A Comics line when he did his first special. So good. Coming to the EU anytime soon. Oh, please. We're trying to get on with like Steel Panther and do one of their European tours. That would work out really. Have you heard Hartman's book, Bernie Passed Out? The book's called Bernie Passed Out? No. I love Robin. Yes. Yeah, Bill Hicks was great. And, again, Bill Hicks is the root of my theory that you can do annoyance in stand-up, but you cannot do rage. Rage does not belong in stand-up. Not real rage, anyways. Yeah, Richard was so good. And he's also, Richard's the root of my theory that artists can't take prescription meds for depression because they don't have the same, most medicines like that are designed for people with a normal circadian rhythm and a regular work schedule. And when you do shows and radio and some days off and 2 days off and then 5 days where you're on the road and stuff like that, it'll fuck you up. You got to find some other way. Talked to you at the Yacht Club like 2 years ago. No questions, just a thanks. Absolutely. Thanks, Pete. What kind of belly songs I have? The regular. No. Okay. Which song on 0-1 do you wish was slower? Oh, Chosen One. Chosen One was originally it was like half tempo from what it is. I mean, I like the song, but I should have stuck to my guns. Hal Never Changes is the best version. Oh, thanks. To change with change is the changeless state, ladies and gentlemen. Favorite Mel Brooks movie? Oh, God. Young Frankenstein. I mean, that to be fair, that's more of a Gene Wilder movie because he wrote the script. Most people don't know that. They had a big fight about whether or not the Puttin' on the Ritz song should be in. Mel Brooks hated it. And Gene Wilder said it had to be in there. They argued. They were screaming at each other, almost destroyed the movie. And then they almost broke up about it. And then at one point, Mel Brooks said, "All right, it's in." And he goes, "What do you mean it's in? You out of your mind? We've been yelling this whole time and suddenly it's in?" And he goes, "Yeah, if you care about it that much, it must be good." Yeah. Blazing Saddles is a miracle too. Co-written by Richard Pryor. Wrote all the Mongo stuff and wrote all the everywhere the N-word shows up. That's Richard. I love your energy too, Susan. Thanks. Spaceballs sucks. Sorry. Spaceballs that grows on you. A big part I got to say, a big part of Mel Brooks' stuff is casting. Hal, did y'all have fun at the QAF reunion? Absolutely. So lovely. I got to tell you, we all were on the edge of tearing up dozens of times, not just when we were doing the panel and talking about stuff, but they watched an episode beforehand. It was the episode where I got blown to pieces, which it's a good episode, but I didn't have a lot to do in it. I had a lot heavier work before and after it. But it's where I got to meet Cyndi Lauper, so that was worth it. And she's friggin' wonderful, and I'm a huge fan of the movie Vibes. You guys know it's one of my favorites, and I bored her about that to no end. But when I got a picture with her, I'll find it someplace, but I look like tandoori chicken because I was blown up. High Anxiety is so great, so slept on. You know what's a great slept on comedy movie? Yellowbeard, the sort of lost Monty Python movie, because it was a Graham Chapman movie. So good. With Cheech and Chong are in it. It's Madeline Kahn, brilliant. Yeah, we had a little get together for Pride. Yeah, CSL. I mean, God, like, it's so funny. There's, Ingo, what's with the gun? You don't have to shoot us. There'll be another nurse along any minute. Important lesson from my parents. Don't be afraid of complexity. My dad's an architect, my mom's a nurse. Both of them dealt with details in their jobs all the time that mattered in safety and in people's lives. So I was never afraid of details, never afraid of complexity, that everything didn't have to be simple. Also, my dad used to hit me on top of the head if I ever said I don't know. Because he hated lazy kids that went, I don't know. So if I said, I don't know, my dad would take his knuckle and go on top of my head. And hit me so hard it felt like my feelings bounced. But what it meant was, and it wasn't that you couldn't know something, that's okay. You didn't say, I don't know, you'd say, I'll find out. Or you could give the answer if you knew it, or you were allowed to bullshit, because it at least meant you were using deductive reasoning. I think it's this. That's okay. Yeah. How many licks to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The allegedly 3 in a bite, but I think ultimately no one counts twirling it as a lick. And I would, since I eat, lollipops or suckers Kojak style, or you just leave them in there and hang on to them for a while. There's no way to quantify the licks at all. And I think that creates a false impression that that's how, yeah. Will ICE run out of money? They already are. But the funding will have to come either in a separate bill if they can't pass the big bullshit bill, or it will have to be included in a CR. He's going to pull emergency funds. You had to find out without the internet. Yes, I did. You tried to break your kid of that habit. And again, it's, the nice way of doing it is if your kid goes, I don't know, well, make a guess. Tell me. Bobcat Goldthwait. I love Share the Warmth. I love Bob. You guys know that. Is the secret of life still 42? Yes, it is. Can't bite it, break your teeth. Casting football player Alex Karras as Mongo is pure genius. Who else would have thought to choose him? Exactly. Would you like to be in the cast of another MCU movie? Yes, I would. And I would like them to do Ghost Rider well. And I will put on 10 pounds of muscle to do it. But, yeah. Dad's better. Thank you for asking. That's very sweet, Kate. My dad is recovering. It's still rough, though. We're going to go see him in like 2 weeks. We're flying to see my dad. In the beginning of July, we're going to go see my dad for a couple weeks. Hang out there with the family. Any chance of Ficus, Baby Hal, and Salty again? Sure miss their cameos. I do too. I'm working on it. It's a tricky thing. I'm actually using ChatGPT to try and work around the programming on it. So wish me luck. Have you ever heard the new Triumph tribute album? No, I haven't. I love Triumph. I will check it out. Any regrets? I've had a few. Can you please sing us a favorite song? Yes. Gosh. Well, there's a song called Indian Summer on my my band 01's first record, and that song is all about regret, because it's about a girl who died in a car accident that I knew in school, but only vaguely, like peripherally. And she was very sweet and very pretty, and I was too nervous to ask her out. And I don't know if our relationship would have gone anywhere, or that could have been a thing. But I have always felt like if I had been with her or I'd been around her, she wouldn't have driven drunk. Because I don't drink, and I would have given her a ride home or something. Like, so in my head, I still have this, that haunts me, that idea. And and what it is transmuted into in my life is not some sort of like pained regret or worry, but it directs my feelings about being forward and open with people in my life, that I'm not afraid to approach anybody, because I feel I would be an improvement in any situation, or I wouldn't leave the house. So I try to go when I'm out in the world. It's not that I blame myself, Stargal. It's just that I feel like that was a missed opportunity, and it hurts. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that hurt. Do you like harder matter? Yes, I do. I have a signature Trivium guitar. I'm a big Metallica fan, obviously. I don't know if you've ever seen. I did Damage Incorporated, and I was very proud that I was able to nail the bridge. Here's your favorite kid, Camden, always and forever. Elton John, there you go. Love Yellowbeard, nice. Are you a Tool fan? Absolutely. Have you not seen, look up Hal Sparks, Tool Sober. I've done it a couple of times. I've been trying to get us to do like Lateralis or some of the other songs. The Pot, Who are you to wave your finger? You must have been out your head. I hold deep in muddy water. You practically raise the dead. Yeah, I dig that stuff. It's amazing. When I have Tony Michaels on, we'll have him on again, sure. You don't nail a bridge, you rivet a bridge. Thank you. That's a good point. Yeah. I know the band Failure. Yes, but not well. Rosetta Stone. Why does Lars suck so bad? He doesn't. He used to. He used to be a fairly bad drummer, but there's a certain point where if you're on the road and you play that much, you're going to get good. He's just not a studio drummer. He's a live drummer. And it's really hard to like make that shift. And some people never should. Hal, you're next. Yes, the guitar shop dude was me. Yes, that's me. That was improv. Me and Nick Thune improvised our lines, and the Ashton's lady had scripted lines. You woke up singing Crazy on You? That'll do it. Any tattoos? Nope. Nope, tattoos at all. Who would you like to have on the show, Hal? Oh, that's a good one. Everybody. I'm trying to think of people that weren't on the show necessarily. I mean, I'd love to have Mark Hamill come on the show. I think he would. We just have to reach out to him and figure it out. What's my favorite ice cream? Chocolate chip. Vanilla with chocolate chips. Or stracciatella if it's gelato. Yeah. Yeah, but you have piercings. Yes, I have piercings. I have one in this ear and 3 in this one. Piercings are easier to hide when you're filming. For Whom the Bell Tolls is amazing. Hal has appeared a live drummer or studio. He was both. I mean, I would argue he's a studio drummer, but because of how they played, they were so precise. They didn't rush, interestingly enough. The irony is that Rush played always in time perfectly. So arguably what you're seeing was a studio drummer who was fulfilling that job as a studio drummer in a way that held the band together, and their stuff was so complicated that they had to stay in that realm. You couldn't just four on the floor it, and thank God. Try some black licorice ice cream. It's good as fuck. It will. Want to have a few piercings? Okay. Yes, Rachel Maddow would be a lovely guest. I think she owes me. We could have her on. What is the meaning of life? To find the beauty in the things that you cannot change. Have you ever been to Burning Man? No, but I would love to. Oh, we made a sub-member goal? Oh, nice. How about King Crimson? Yes, I like King Crimson. They're not, they're in my like periphery of bands like Faces or the Hollies or those kind of bands. But yeah, what would I do for a Klondike bar? Probably figure out what the purchase price was and buy one. Do you like Smirconish? I do. I'm not quite sure. A lot of times I'm not sure what the grounding philosophy of Smirconish is. Why'd you move to Las Vegas? Because my girl is here, and her son was here, and he was going to school, and it was easier for me to move me to here during COVID than the other way around. And that's the kind of guy I am. 68 Camaro, best muscle car. Rachel owes us for helping Tucker get the news right. Think Trump's parade being a shit show is an example of being a day ending and why? Sort of. That was special. That was. Oh, what's my Twitch sub goal? I don't know. All of Hamas's people finally get a fucking brain and join my thing, so I actually make some sort of funds from that site would be great. Will BBB pass? Not as it is. No, Coretta. No. And the problem they're really running into is that if they gain 10 votes holding it down, they'll lose 20 elsewhere. Just the SALT stuff is causing a fight. You can imagine what the Medicaid funding stuff is doing. They're kind of screwed. How many guitars do I own? Somewhere in the area of 40. Have you ever had Liquid Death tea? Yes, I like the Liquid Death water though. The Black Camaro and Better Off Dead. There you go. That's what it was. Yep. I'd love to have Tim Miller on. That'd be great. Would you travel to India? Yes. I sent my ex-girlfriend to India. She wanted to go with her roommate, her friend I'm a roommate. She lived with us too. But I paid for both of them. It's Hassan. You mean Hamas, Abi? Right. How many cats? We have 5. We're back to 5 after we lost Chud and went back. Felshi is a good guy. I did shows back in the day with him a lot. Favorite album cover? Love Gun. Yep. 1964 GTO. That is beautiful. You're right. I've received 1,000 messages on Restream in this last hour. You have one cello. That's nice. Love the Marx Brothers. Yeah. Duck Soup is probably my favorite Marx Brothers film. Yeah. I do need another guitar. That's true. Because all guitars have 12 songs in them. Tesla. Have you seen any money from that Tesla fire footage? I have not. I expect to at some point, but I have no idea when. How's my mom doing? She's great. Hold on one second. I'll check. Hold on. We're getting near this. Mom. You got here? Come here. Say hi to people if they want to say hi. I'm doing an AMA. You look fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, mom, ladies and gentlemen, this is my mom.
Hello.
Yep. So, love you. I finished the show up. Everybody was really nice, and I did a super chat goal, and they hit it. So I said I would do an AMA, which is an Ask Me Anything. Oh. So they're asking a bunch of questions in there or whatever, and they asked how you were, and I was like, "Are you fine? You good?
Yes.
Excellent. You guys hungry? You need?
No, we need to watch Rachel. Come on.
Okay. All right. All right. Help me there. Yeah. Yep. Definitely my mom. Nope. and I'm not hungry. We need to go watch Rachel. Okay, there you go. And she's right. So I'll let you guys go. And thank you guys so much for the support, liking and subscribing and all that kind of stuff. And patreon.com and Hal Sparks. Again, 24th is the Jam, the next one. The 7th is the next Flapper show, which I will share with you guys. Yes, I do look like my mom. Yeah, I favor my mom. Although both my parents, their eyes. Yes, you good? Okay, all right. my son's like, are you done? Can you finish, please? Both my parents, like, they had brown eyes like this, but they went hazel as they got older. So they both got lighter eyes now. So yes, yes. That's right. Next Tuesday is the Jam, and then the Friday after that is the next Flapper show, and then right after that we head to Kentucky for a bit. Yeah, thanks. You get 99. I get 99.9% of your movie refs. I'll try and break out a little bit, so you go, what was that a reference to? So, anyways, much love. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and I'll see you later. I gotta go feed the fam and see what my kid wants. Hey, the credits worked. Hooray! Perfect day. Thank you.